May 29th, 2026, Doing Debates Live Nation. How are you?
What's up? Dun, 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 dun.
What's your P doom?
Hey, what's
There's a
your
new
B
sound effect for
do?
you.
Nice. New sound effects.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, I see we announced it in the Discord that we're going live. Let's see. Let's do a tech check here. See if we're live on YouTube. Going live on YouTube. Never thought I would be a YouTube live star, but here we are.
That was not on my list for what you were gonna be also.
Yeah, exactly right. That was not on Ori's list when we first met each other in seventh grade, or I think it was seventh grade.
So, yeah, we met in
Oh,
seventh grade,
shit.
yeah. But
Yeah.
but started hanging out more in eighth grade and ninth grade.
Exactly. We went to the same youth group.
Yep.
That was before AI Doom was a thing, but at that time, that Eliezer Yudkowsky had already made himself aware of the upcoming singularity, because that was like 2000.
You know, the wheels were in motion. There was bubbling going on. That was making it happen.
Yeah, I don't know why we were wasting time dissecting a frog when we could have been talking to Eliezer about the singularity.
Mm.
All right, enough banter. Let's debrief the week. I think really the big news coming up is less online. Where's that soundboard, everybody?
Let's go.
All right, and we actually got our first donation on the stream. So I don't have this kind of train whistle sound effect in the soundboard. Okay, so you might hear a train approaching, but you're not going to hear. This is 100% organic train horn. It's made out of wood. So there's only one reason why I would blow the train horn, and that is because a user, Gadzooks, has donated Canadian $13.99. I don't know if you type that in manually when they ask you how much you want to donate. You're like, oh, I'd like to donate $13.99 Canadian. Thank you very much, but we do appreciate it. Definitely keeps the lights on here. And
Thank you,
Gadzooks. Exactly. Yeah, I think some of the lights might be flickering, guys. Let's see. What do we got? Uh-oh. We need some help keeping the lights on.
Hey.
So it's all because of your donations that we can keep these on. Okay, so yes, this question is why is a duck? I might take a pass on that one. Yeah, Doom in the dark, exactly, or Doom debates after dark.
Wow, he bought it. He donated. He bought a question just to troll you.
Yeah, why is a duck? Yeah, that's a good question to ask the AI. It reminds me of how I think there was like in old philosophical literature, people will talk about how like there's these meaningless questions that you can't possibly answer, like the famous or like these sentences. Sorry, what I mean is I think it was Noam Chomsky who said like there's these grammatical sentences that are valid syntactically, but they have literally no meaning whatsoever. And the famous example was I think colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Right, like that sentence that has no coherent meaning, and yet it's grammatical, right? The adjectives are modifying the nouns, everything makes sense. And then I remember when the AI was first doing, what was that first AI that was drawing things? Midjourney, right? They had Midjourney draw colorless green ideas sleep furiously, and it actually drew like a pretty good picture of like a colorless green idea sleeping furiously. I don't know if you want to pull that up. We'll start the screen sharing journey soon. Here, let's get it going now. One sec.
Leave it to AI to solve all our philosophical conundrums, right? I mean, and it's like you said with Eliezer Yudkowsky. I mean, the purpose of like a driving animation for philosophy can be how do we want to train AI?
Yeah. All right, here I'm gonna screen share here. The colorless green ideas tab. All right, so I'm just having GPT draw it over again because I couldn't find it like on Google Images. So we'll see. So yeah, we're going to be taking questions from the live audience. We're going to be talking about the Less Online conference. Oh man, what a cop out. Look at this. It just wrote the text. It made an image of text.
Dude.
And the text says colorless green ideas. I think we've got to the point where like the AI is like, right, I got trolled. The AI is like so wise to us. Like it probably knows like the irony of asking an AI to do that. And then, and it's like, okay, I'll just draw text. Like it's meta aware of like the fact that I'm asking it that, right? But like the original Midjourney was more naive, and it just drew it. So I'll leave that to you guys to do your own image, or I'll just ask it. I'll be like, look,
you could do it again without the quotes, and then it would work.
Right. Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. I put it in quotes, so it literally just drew this on. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it knew my own meaning better than I did. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It was aligned as the OpenAI people would say, baby aligned.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Here, depict the content of this sentence. See, I'm saying the content, not like the words.
Mm.
The content, the meaning. Here, I'm saying depict the meaning of the sentence. There. Colorless green idea, sleep furiously, right? And the whole premise is that this sentence has no valid meaning, right? Like in the space of meaning that the syntax maps to, there's nothing, right? There's a void. And yet, I think we're going to see a depiction. And I think that the trick to this is that in the space of ideas, it's going to draw like a point that is like somehow adjacent to like it's somehow combining the concepts and like it makes sense to us. It's like, okay, well, I mean, sleeping is depicted, right? Green is depicted, colorlessness is depicted, right? It's like it's all depicted in the same image. So like that gets credit, that's how it's going to work. Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of like what I remember. I think the picture I had a little bit more of like there was like maybe a bed and like part of it was colorless and part of it was green, whatever. But I mean, you get the point. I mean, this kind of looks like a colorless screen idea, sleeping furiously. You know what I should have done is I forgot I got to go to the API platform. When I go to the API platform, it lets me generate 10 images at once. So that's how we got to roll here. We got to use the
Three is not enough for you.
3.
I
Wait,
thought
you can generate three of
I
this?
saw it. I thought I saw it generate 3 options when you were at a
I
different
think I only
layer
get
on.
one.
Oh, okay.
No, I think I'm only seeing one. Yeah, no, I need 10. You can do up to 10. And of course you pay for each one, but I'm such a baller. I can afford to pay like 5 cents times 10. I roll deep. Also, I just noticed I'm looking at the screen on my YouTube and it says YouTube Canadian. So as you guys know, I live in upstate New York. And recently something happened with my ISP where my IP address is being classified by like databases of IP addresses like I'm in Canada, and Canada is like a couple hours drive away. So I'm just randomly getting the experience of the Canadian internet right now. Like I went to to buy some shoes and the checkout didn't work because the whole time it thought I was trying to buy like to a Canada address. So I had to like go start over again and find the US site. Yeah. So yeah, I'm experiencing Canadian life right now, and I got to tell you, it's pretty annoying. I don't know how you guys do it. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's why I'm seeing that the donation is Canadian $13.99. Like maybe it's just $10 US.
Oh yeah. What YouTube are you on?
Wait, Ori, can you see it? Can you see it in the stream? Or do you have the YouTube open?
Let me see.
Yeah, go look at Gadzooks' donation. Tell me if you see it in Canadian or US currency.
I also see it in Canadian 13.99.
Okay, got it. Yeah, everybody sees a different internet. Okay, so anyway, where were we? Okay, so we got to talk about less online. And there's just one thing I want to test though, real quick. Now that I have the screen share up, tell me if the sound effect is echoing for you or crisp. Because last week we had some technical difficulties. All right, so let's see what's a sound effect that we need right now. Here's people who are too chicken to debate me.
I can think of some very obvious names.
Right. Okay, but you heard the sound, right?
Yeah, no echo.
No echo. Okay, great. All right, I think we nailed it. Nice. All right, so let's talk about less online. Okay, so screen share. We're going to head over to less.online. Let me share this tab. All right, here we go. This is crazy. We've been anticipating this a very long time. We've been talking about this for months. And now we are T-minus 1 week, literally 1 week from now, 1 week and 2 hours is when the conference is officially starting. It's in Berkeley, California. And I think we said this last week. We have an amazing deal for you guys watching the stream right now. Or actually, do we still need this? I think we're already good, right? The deal's off the table, right? Of being our intern.
No, I think we're still looking for people. I think we're very close to nailing it down, but we could still get applications for it for sure.
Got it. It felt like it was in such a long time last week, but here we are. It's already days away. But yeah, okay. You should still ping us if you want to do this. And actually for Manifest too. So let me, I'll share that tab too. Manifest.is. I mean, it's kind of funny. If you guys don't know about this, look at this, Manifest, June 12th. So they've got 2 conferences at this place in Berkeley called Lighthaven, the rationalist mecca, if you will, back to back next week and the week after next. They're both in Berkeley, California, same venue, great venue, kind of different crowds of people, but a lot of overlap. And there's this thing called summer camp where you can stay between Lighthaven. We're going to be at both, and we're looking for interns for both. And I don't know if we said this explicitly, right? But we've got the deal where we're going to actually pay you $500 for either one or both, right? Whichever one you help us out with, right? Or yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And
yeah.
if you've ever considered buying like a volunteer ticket where instead of paying like 675, you only have to pay like 350 and you have to volunteer for them, don't volunteer for them, okay? Volunteer for us because we'll make your ticket $0 and we'll pay you $500, okay? So that's, that Pareto dominates what they're offering.
It's an amazing offer. You get to hang out with us. You get to talk about your favorite show. I mean, it's a great vibe. There's so many reasons to want to go to this.
Exactly. So yeah, so Doom debates, we're going to be rolling deep because look at this. Okay, scroll down on the home site for Less Online. Okay, some writings we love. A lot of these are really good blogs. I subscribe to like, I don't know, a third of these myself. But then you scroll down farther. This is where it gets good. Okay, cabinet of attendees. All right, Scott Alexander, Eliezer Yudkowsky. Okay, yada yada yada. The all-time greats, and also myself. Check this out. They get yeah. Oh, nice. It links to Doom debates. Yeah, this is they gave me an image here. It's that sponsor. That's right. So Doom Debates is apparently there's no other sponsors. We are the official sponsor of Less Online. That's right, everybody.
They may as well say Less Online, presented by Doom Debates.
They really should. Yeah. Honestly, I wish I was above the fold, right? Where you don't have any Doom Debates representation above the fold. We got to fix that. So yeah, they really should call it Doom Debates Presents Less Online. That should be the name of the conference. Yeah. So Less Online, it's a play on less wrong. And what does that mean that we're sponsoring it? Well, when you go to Doom Debates, we are going to have a merch table where we're going to be giving out shirts like this and encouraging people to subscribe to Doom Debates. And we've got some cool merch. Some of it is Doom Debates themed. Some of it is inspired by Eliezer Yudkowsky. Like we have a spoiler, if you've been following the show's Discord, I've got a funny image of my kids trying on the kaleidoscope glasses that we're going to be handing out. So yeah, so you're going to want to get those. They're going to pay your cost of the conference just to get cool merch like that. And we're going to be doing talks. We're going to be doing mini debates and mini episodes. So this is your chance if you ever wanted to be on Doom Debates or have your friend be on Doom Debates. This is definitely the way to get that access right now. And we're going to be doing like a Doom Debates talk. It might be other people debating. It might be me versus everybody. That's a classic type of debate we do. Survey the whole audience what their position is. Yeah. So Less Online. We talked about be our intern. Go to. Do we have a link for it? Go to our Discord, right? If you go to our Discord in the general channel, we've been announcing how you can be our intern. That's the right place for them to go, right, Ori?
Yeah. In the Discord, I'll update that. I'll reply to that message that that had the offer there that we're looking for help there. So I'll reply to that so it goes back to the top of the thread.
Right. Yeah, we'll bump it up to the top. Yeah, so it's great fun if you don't have any plans during this weekend and you can get yourself to Berkeley because we're not offering transportation. Okay, that's all you or lodging, right? If you can do transportation or lodging, I don't think that they have a tent encampment outside. So I think you got to really actually like crash on a friend's couch or something. As long as you handle that, you can get in for free. You can get actually here. Okay, I just thought of this. Okay, what if you take the $500 that we pay you and you just use it to pay for like a bus ride and lodging? There you go.
Someone could for sure do that.
Exactly, right? So we just solved your housing and transportation problem just like that. Yeah, so we encourage you to be our intern for Less Online and or Manifest. It's going to be great fun. There's lots of great talks. There's lots of great networking. And just so you understand why the conference is good, it's just a combination of the people, right? People like me and Ori. If you think me and Ori are like a cool type of person where we like to engage with ideas and we're friendly, you're going to find a lot of that on Less Online. That's like the type of person. And also the venue, it's, I don't know if it's award winning technically, but a lot of people are praising it because it's like, think about like the best part of a conference where you're like in the hallway talking to people who aren't currently listening to the speaker. So they turn the idea of a hallway into like the entire venue, right? There's like a lot of courtyards, a lot of nooks. There's a lot of quote unquote hallway conversations. And I can tell you personally, I'm not somebody who likes to listen to talks just because I don't get a lot of social value from like being among people. It just doesn't, push my buttons the way that it would for like a more social person. And also the 1x speed is kind of a killer for me, right? I've just trained myself to listen at 2 to 3x speed. So the 1x is kind of painful. So you'll mostly just find me chilling outside of the talks, which is where a lot of people are chilling. So I recommend having a conference experience that mostly involves not listening to talks, except the Doom Debates talk, right? You got to come to that one.
That one will be very fast paced. Liron versus everyone.
Right, because I think that I can just talk at 2x, and that way everybody can win. Because I know you have to listen live, but I'll meet you halfway, or I'll talk at like 1.8x, and I'll meet you halfway.
Oh my god.
All right. Yeah, is there anything else we should let people know about Less Online? We said why the conference is good. We said why they should be the intern. Maybe we should go over the people again, right? So you mentioned Eliezer. There's Ayla. I think she's best known as like a sex researcher. She used to be like an escort, and she was like an innovator in the field of escorting. Right? And she's written a very interesting post on like how to be an escort. She's like a combination of somebody who's like rational and introspective and also into like research. And yeah, anyway, interesting person. We could deep dive on her. Actually, I want to invite her to come on the show. I haven't gotten around to that yet. She's going to be a good guest, hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's see. Katja Grace, AI Impacts is her an organization I think she co-founded. They do like great surveys. Yeah, let's just go talk about every single person. Okay, Gorn, remember last year? This is crazy, but I think that Ori and I got to meet the real Gorn in the flesh.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy. Really, I mean, really smart.
I don't know
really
what
sharp.
we're allowed to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at should we reveal their gender? No, we can't. It could be any gender.
Oh, yes.
Right. They could be any gender. But look, the photo is just like a letter G, right? There's no like headshot or anything. I don't know if it's overstepping to say this, but like the individual that is supposedly Gwern in the flesh, I guess we didn't get proof, but I will say the individual seemed like the kind of individual that you wouldn't expect to be Gwern. Is that fair to say?
I disagree, actually. I think the individual who may or may not be Gwern is kind of exactly what I would expect.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I don't know. What can I say? I can't say anything about it. But I mean, they were just
right. Yeah, we can't say
like,
anything. You can't leak any information.
They were just incredibly like well-read, like really sharp, book smart, articulate, like I don't know, interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This list is also making me realize that we haven't been doing the best job getting guests for Doom Debates, because Scott Alexander, I've tried a couple times. He's only done like one podcast ever, right? The anonymous appearance on Dorkesh. Eliezer technically can never come on a show with Doom in the name, but I've done other content with him on my other channel. Tzvi, I actually have told him that I'd love to have him on the show. It's just a question of when he's available and what the theme of the episode will be. But yeah, big fan of Tzvi. Talked about Ayla, got to invite her. Emmett, we invited him to the party last year. He came, he was on for a few minutes. So that's, check that box, I guess.
Yeah, that was great.
Cotelo, he's expressed interest in coming on the show, right?
I mean, I think we've invited him, but he's never been on the show. It's too bad.
I know, AI 2027, what a superstar. His background is he used to work at OpenAI, and then he left, and he famously wrote on Less Wrong that he doesn't trust them to act responsibly, like at the time of the intelligence explosion. I think he got their number on that.
Yes, and
he went on to write AI 2027. Yeah,
it's amazing how prescient AI 2027 has been. I mean, it's like, I don't know. People keep saying, "Oh yeah," people keep pointing out how the timeline that we're in, like how effective agents are, has just been mirroring AI 2027. So, yeah. I mean,
I recently, I actually went back and read all of AI 2027 all over again, and like it definitely holds up. And like the timeline, agents working, that's probably their number one prediction of like agents will work, and like I would say they definitely work. At least, I definitely have a daily experience of a 10-minute agent like really truly working.
Yeah, and
let's see. All right, let's check in with what the viewers are saying.
That's pretty unsettling if we're on that timeline, right? I mean, they were like, we're a year away from the point of no return in their timeline.
Right, 2027, exactly, right? Okay, so let me just scroll back here what the viewers are saying. Let's see. The inside view, that's Michael Trotzi, friend of the show. Hey. He's saying, "Are you guys just promoting Less Online?" That's just the teaser. Okay, this is a variety show. Okay, these Friday shows they defy a simple explanation like that.
We're the sponsor of Less Online.
We highly recommend. Michael, are you? Yeah, the sponsor. That's right. Look at this. Okay, just in case for those of you who missed it, I know you guys are just joining the stream now. People pile into the stream. All right, look at this. Take a good look. It's me, and this photo is from Doom Debates. So this is like Inception. You're on Doom Debates, looking at a photo of me from Doom Debates. Yeah, he's asking, you're paying them? Yeah, we're paying them. I will say it's a sweetheart deal because it's like we're not, it's not like we have like a revenue model. Our revenue model is actually just asking you guys, the viewers, to donate to the show because you support the mission. So it's not like we're flush with cash, right? We want to be responsible stewards of your cash. So yeah, we negotiated a price that we thought was like worth it because look, if you want to, we're transparent with how we run the show. We do think it's strategic to just like make sure that we have mind share, even if it requires spending some of our budget. We think it's important that like people on Less Online know, hey, we're doing this project. We're trying to have high quality discourse. We're trying to raise people's P-Doom. We want everybody to know about this. And, there's this effect of creating common knowledge in the technical sense of like, not only do we want you to know about Doom debates, but I want you to know that this other person here knows that this other person here knows that Doom debates is like a thing. Right. That's has a lot of overlap with things that people in this community like, it's creating common knowledge. All right. The Rugby Prop is saying you should take the raised money to build a misaligned AI, which then gives more credence to the Doom hypothesis. Wow. Galaxy, so many Galaxy brain takes. That reminds me of that Galaxy brain take that everybody loves to say, being like, the real misaligned AI is just AI reading Doomers saying how misaligned AI is bad. Like, yeah, it wouldn't have been misaligned if we hadn't tipped it off to the idea that it could be misaligned. Sorry, guys. It's really all our fault. So convenient.
I couldn't even buy that argument. I mean, do you think do people really mean that when they say that? Like, I thought it was such a like cheap shot at the quote unquote doomers.
Well, Anthropic is always messing with us. And because, recently there was a paper from Anthropic and they were saying, hey, look, we found evidence that the only reason this particular AI is behaving misaligned is we traced it down. We traced it in the weights to like these articles about misalignment. And a lot of people had a field day with that. A lot of people were like, we knew it. See, the doomers are just creating their own problem. It reminds me of that. I feel like this is as counterproductive. Was it FDR who said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, right? Who said that?
Yeah, I think that was FDR. Or Kennedy.
Yeah, what was the context in which FDR said it? Was he basically just saying like, don't be a pacifist?
Don't know.
I mean, I know the day that will live in infamy. I got that one. He's talking about Pearl Harbor. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at the context here. I'm certain that hold on. I'm looking on Reddit here. I'm certain that my fellow Americans expect that on my induction into the presidency, I will address them with a candor and a decision which the present situation of our nation impels. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly. Nor need we shrink from honestly facing conditions in our country today. This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance in every dark hour of our national life. So this is 1933. Okay, so World War II was not even, this is his first inaugural address. So I guess he's talking about like the Depression. Okay. And it's saying, yeah, the United States has suffered through more than 3 years of the most appalling economic catastrophe. Okay, so he's talking about the Great Depression. Okay, I think that this quote has been counterproductive to people's thinking, right? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, because it's an example of what I call recoil exaggeration. Or actually, is it even recoil? No, I think it's a different bias. It's like, how people are like biased to think that like if something rhymes, then it's more true, right? And like your brain is already accepting it as true even before you're like critically thinking about it. It's like, oh, it rhymes. I've already accepted it. Sorry. Well, similarly, I think that people have a bias to accept things that are like conveniently self-referential. Like, oh, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Okay. No, like fear itself tends to be pretty low down on the list of things to fear in actuality.
Okay. Right? Fair point.
Yeah. And so similarly, when you're thinking about why AI becomes misaligned, it's so convenient to be like, oh, look, the only reason it was misaligned is because people talked about misaligned. No, that may be a reason on the list of reasons in some cases, but I don't think it cracks like the top 100 reasons. Okay. But yes, did it happen to right now when the AI is dumb and it's like still a little bit of a parrot, right? A little bit of regurgitating its data. Yeah. Okay. But that's super misleading. And Anthropic is like often really pissing me off to like be focusing on things that they should know are red herrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see some of these audience comments here. Live audience. Okay, Alverin is saying, how do we call into the show? Okay, great question. We haven't shared the link yet just because we want to do a little bit of news, but we will give you guys a call-in link. We're going to do live call-in. Let me just see anything else the audience has been saying. Somebody's saying... no, okay, no recent comments. Oh, I imagine Gordon is a Scott Alexander type, but I don't know. Fascinating person. I'd love to meet them. Yeah, okay, we can't. Our mouths are zipped here. No comments. Okay, yeah, so we were going through the list of people on Less Online, and we were saying how, like, these are almost to a T people who are welcome on Doom debates, maybe even 100%. And pretty much everybody I'm seeing on my screen right now with like a couple of, okay, Max Harms, shout out to Max Harms. He had a great appearance on the show. Go search Doom Debates Max Harms. Wayne Evans, I feel like I got a good shot at getting him to come on. We got to hit him up.
Nice. That would be
okay,
awesome.
Rob Miles, bam. That's nice. That's nice that we were able to check a couple of boxes here. Rob Miles has been on the show.
Been on the show twice.
That's right. Yeah, been on the show twice. That's right. Search Doom Debates Rob Miles. All right, everybody. I recently tweeted an invite to Kelsey Piper. I don't think she replied to that one, but the reason is because she was saying she recently had a good tweet on why she personally is concerned that we do kind of seem to be getting close to doing something insane the way we're going about AI, and she's just hopeful that we won't for some reason. And yeah, I just offered her if she wants to turn that tweet into an episode. I think that'd be great. But yeah, we'll keep trying. Let's see. Okay, New Place to Frown is saying, Andy Matuszek is an interesting guy. He taught me a lot about note-taking. Very cool website. Okay, Andy Matuszek, if you're on the stream right now, you might be one of the 23 people watching, or you might be one of the couple thousand people who are watching asynchronously. You are hereby invited. And if we see you in person, we'll invite you in person. Somebody saying, Paul Cristiano. Paul Cristiano, you're hereby invited. That'd be a good get. All right, guys. So that's less online. Let's move along. Oh, check it out. Pics of Lighthaven. Don't you guys want to go in this amazing, warm, welcoming space? Look at this space. Great space. Lots of nooks. Good weather. California weather. All right. And don't forget about Manifest as well. It's another good conference. All right. So after Manifest, I think we wanted to do news of the week, right?
Yeah, news of the week. What's the big news this week?
There's Claude 4.8, Claude Opus 4.8. I'm always talking on the show about how I spend a lot of money on fast mode. So I want to let you guys know that Claude Opus 4.8 promises to only charge 1/3 as much for fast mode. So it's pretty funny. 4.6 charged like $200 an hour, 4.7, same price, roughly $200 an hour. Suddenly 4.8 supposedly is going to be only like $66 an hour. So that's good. Only caveat is I started using it and it still feels slower. I've actually been stuck on 4.6 because 4.7 and 4.8 fast mode, they felt slower to me. I don't know why. But 4.8, I've been using a little bit and it does seem more thoughtful. It does seem a little bit smarter as far as I can tell so far. So I think I'm going to use 4.8, but it's just weird that it feels slower. So now you guys know what my current experience is. But like I said this on Warning Shots earlier today, which is, I think the end game of all of this is that we're all just going to have cheap, fast programmers. And there's not going to be that excuse of like, oh, I can still program because it's too expensive to use the AI. Like I think we're rapidly converging to a place where superhuman AIs are going to be affordable.
Yeah, I saw a take.
Right.
Someone gave a take where it was like the only two companies that are going to continue to exist are OpenAI and Anthropic because they're able to just eat into what so many other application companies are doing.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know if they were being ironic or not, but I would say that it's plausible what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean they were exaggerating clearly, but you look at like how quickly they're deploying and all the functionality that they're able to deploy. Also, I mean it's pretty insane.
Okay, so I've got a really interesting follow-up from last week. Do you remember on the stream last week, we covered the OpenAI math breakthrough, and then I tried to scroll through it and give you guys some insight about it, and I really had nothing whatsoever. So this week, somebody published, Tim, I want to make sure, Timothy Lee, right? Let me pull this up. His publication, Timothy B. Lee, he says, let me pull it up on a screen share, but basically he published something about it and I actually read it because I'm like, hey, this is my chance to understand it and tell you guys on the stream. I can make up for last week. All right, so he writes, other news outlets hand-waved past this. Yeah, other news outlets hand-waved past the substance of OpenAI's big math breakthrough last week, but I realized I had a math major on my team and I could get him to actually explain the result. Okay, great. Let me just make my browser window a little bit bigger here. Bam. All right. So he has like a screenshot. And so I actually dug into this a little bit so I could explain to you guys. So let me pull this up. All right. So we're going to learn a little bit of the math we're finally going to understand what was going on with OpenAI's math. And the funny thing is, this is coming a little bit late because since the time that last week's news was announced of OpenAI disproving a long-standing Erdős conjecture, right? We said it was standing for like 80 years or something. And they disproved it last week. And then since that time, I think Google DeepMind came up and said, "Hey, look, we proved and disproved 9 of these." Right? Like they literally like one-upped. Right, if I remember correctly, they're like, "Yeah, here's 9 more," and everybody was like over it already. Like, yeah, we already know. That's not news. Only OpenAI doing the first one is news.
Well, the AI models have been solving these Erdős problems for a little time now. But this was a pretty significant one, like a bigger prize, I suppose.
Right. Okay. Min Woo Kim is saying, didn't Liron take a lot of math during college? Yeah, I almost double majored in math. Ended up just minoring in math. So yeah, I know like undergraduate math. And I do happen to know a little bit of extra theoretical computer science type math and a little bit of like logic meta mathematics type math. But I'm pretty uneducated when it comes to like number theory. And also like I haven't done anything except watch 3 Blue, 1 Brown for like the last 20 years. So you're not exactly talking to a math pro. But in terms of like, this is kind of like a one-eyed man leading the blind situation, right? Like I think that I have like a little bit that I can offer to like the average viewer of the stream. So let's give it a shot. Okay, so understanding AI. So I'm just going to scroll through this post. I think the diagram is where it's at. Okay, so the unit distance problem. So first we start with like some points connected by lines. So A, B, C, D, E, we got these 5 points. And you can see in this diagram, he's got A and D connected with a line, which is exactly the length of the line is 1, right? So it's 1 unit. And C to E, that's 1, B to E is 1. And you can see here like A and B, they're connected by like more than 1 unit. And he's saying, okay, well, as a starting problem, you can imagine just squishing A and B together, and then you could like score another, you can count another 1 unit line. And the name of the game is like, how do you just have the most possible 1 unit lines? Or are you following?
Yep.
Right, so it's the unit distance problem. Given a set of 5 points, how do you arrange them so that you get the most possible 1 unit lines? And this is very interesting. There's a table of like the best solutions for 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 points. So look at this. When you have 5 points, you can't do better than making them into this like pentagon thingy. Like imagine 3, for those of you who are listening audio only, just take like 3 triangles and smash them up into like a pentagon shape. And is this, no, sorry, it's not even a pentagon. It's a trapezoid. Sorry, I misspoke. So yeah, so you smash 3 triangles into a trapezoid and you can see like, here's a unit, here's a unit. So if you count up the number of 1 unit lines, it's just all the triangles, basically the sides of all the triangles, and you get 7 1 unit lines. Okay, and then it starts getting a little bit more complicated when you have 9. I mean, it's interesting to me because all of these configurations are equivalent in terms of how many unit lines there are. I mean, this triangle looks like the cleanest to me, right? Everything's like perfectly stacked and symmetrical. And then this one is like, okay, it's kind of a Tetris type of shape, right? It's like a parallelogram. And then over here, this is like a weird shape, right? It doesn't really have like a simple description. It actually kind of looks like a triangular prism, but in 2 dimensions. Like it's weird, right? There's like no simple description, and yet it also has a bunch, it also has 9 unit line segments. So this is where it starts getting counterintuitive, right? Because it's when things stop being clean. Ori, any thoughts?
It seems like the one on the left there, the one that is almost like a 3D prism that you described. I mean, that's kind of where the solution goes, right? The ultimate solution to this problem.
Not really. Are you just thinking about the mention of projecting it into higher dimensional space?
Yes.
Is that why you're saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good thought because they do mention higher dimensional space. I actually asked Claude about this, but what you're thinking of, like, oh, it kind of looks like a 3D triangular prism projected down into 2D. That's actually a coincidence. That's not what they're talking about in terms of like projecting it into high dimensions.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's like something else entirely. Yeah, I'll tell you more. Yeah, we'll get to that. But it's a red herring basically. Okay, and then look at this back in 12 dimensions. It's just like this perfect symmetrical shape, right? Like there's only one option. This is the only thing you can do, which is basically you take 6 triangles and smash them together into a nice symmetrical hexagon. And if you do that, then you get 12 unit lines. Okay, I encourage you guys to pull up the video if you're watching on audio only. All right, and then finally we got 8 and 9. So this is when it really starts just getting super trippy. Like I don't know if I have any insight to add. I mean, I guess would you say this looks like a prism projected into 2 dimensions? I guess this looks like a prism still. That's interesting.
Yeah. The 8-point object there on the left looks like a prism again, some kind of 3D object.
Yeah, I suspect this is the last time that this looks like a projection of higher dimensional geometry, though, right? I think it stops. I'm not aware of it still looking like that beyond this point. But then look at this. It's like it's equivalent in terms of number of units. It's equivalent to taking the hexagon from the last one and like sticking on another little triangle point on it, right? So it's really like we're just kind of ad hoc doing whatever works here, right? Like I don't know if there's like a much of a method to this besides like guess and check.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
Yeah, all right. And then there's like a weird shape I can't even describe. It's just like, okay, they got a bunch of points. They like put them in a really weird arrangement. And like, sure enough, there's 14 unit lines, just like in the nicer looking one. They somehow also got 14 unit lines. All right.
Yeah.
And then finally, they get to the one with 9 points. And I guess this is kind of symmetrical. I can't really tell if it's symmetrical or lopsided. I think it's lopsided. Yeah, anyway, it's basically it starts getting past my own understanding, and yet they're like somehow pulling out a maximum number of unit lines. Okay. But this was something that I didn't have any intuition for last week. So it's nice to see it like, okay, there's this game. You start to lose all intuition for the game, but like it seems complicated.
Yes. Okay. I'm following.
Okay. And the other thing that's interesting to look at is like look at the pattern of number of unit segments. So here it goes from 5 points to 6 points to 7 points to 8 points to 9 points. And the number of unit segments they're able to achieve, the maximum number, it goes from 7 to 9 to 12 to 14 to 18. So 7 to 9, that's a difference of 2. 9 to 12, that's a difference of 3. 12 to 14, it's only a difference of 2 again. 14 to 18, suddenly it's a difference of 4. Okay, so the difference is as they step up, again, counterintuitive, right? There's no simple pattern here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it can never go down, right? You can only go up. I wonder if you can prove that you always have to go up by at least 1. I don't know if that's provable or not. Maybe you always have to go up by at least 2. I think you always have to go up by at least 2, right? Because when you tack on an extra point, you can always do it like this, where it's just another triangle sticking out, right? Probably, I don't know. Okay, so you should be able to always go up by at least 2. That's my conjecture. Okay, feel free to prove that. Prove or disprove my conjecture. Okay, so now we get to like the Erdős theorem, right? So the Erdős theorem is a theorem about like what is like the lower bound, the lower and the upper bound for the optimal way of arranging n points so that you get the maximum number of unit distances. And again, so far looking at these examples, it's roughly like the relationship between like 5 points gives you 7 units, 9 points gives you 18 units. It's like roughly 2n, right? So n is 9, the number of points, and then 2n is the number of unit distances. So it's like roughly 2n. It doesn't seem to be scaling much more than linearly here. All right, so here's where the Erdős thing comes in. So he's like, look, what if we just make a naive grid? Okay, we make a grid of points. So look at the grid on the left. It's like a 3x3 grid. And what if we just say, hey, there's the point in the middle. It's just 1 unit away from its 4 neighbors on the grid, right? This is like the simplest solution imaginable. And you can imagine like if you make the grid bigger, like if it was 10 by 10 or whatever, you could go to each of these points. You could be like, hey, look, this has 4 neighbors. This has 4 neighbors. This has 4 neighbors. And all the points that are like in the center regions of the grid, they just all have 4 neighbors. That would be like the simplest solution. And even the simplest solution is actually not bad because we're already getting a number of unit lines that's scaling with n, right? Like if there's n points, you're still getting like roughly 2n, I think. I mean, what is this? This is 9 points, but it's only 4 unit lines. So bad example, I guess. But I feel like if you had like 100 points, you could probably get close to 200 of these. I don't know. I haven't done the math, but point is it scales linearly with n. Okay, that's all I know.
Okay.
All right, and then now we get to another interesting detail. So Erdős is like, look, what if instead of making these dots a distance of 1 apart from each other, like a whole unit, what if you made it like fractional dots? So in this grid, this is a 5 by 5 grid, but each of these dots is actually 1/5 apart from each other. So it's actually a 1 by 1 unit grid. Or, hold on, did I even get that right? I think it might be like the square root of 5. I think each of these dots might be because hold on, he configured it so that the radius of the circle is 1. So if this radius is 1, yeah, that must mean like roughly 2.5 dots. I think he's using the square root of 5. So the idea is that you can have these diagonal. I mean, look, we can prove it, right? Because 1 squared plus 3 squared, if these were length 1, then this would be the square root of 10. But we don't want it to be the square root of 10. We want it to be 1. So I guess this has to be like 1 over the square root of 10. And this has to be 2 over, wait, 1 and 2. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. Oh, no, square root of 5. Okay. Yeah, I think this is 1 over the square root of 5. This is 2 over the square root of 5. And so when you do 1 over the square root of 5 squared, that's 1/5. Plus 2 over the square root of 5 squared, that's 4/5. So then you get a radius of 1. Okay, this is why some people say I don't try to do public math, or I don't try to do math in public.
See, now right? This is something I could see you. This is something I could have seen you doing when we met in high school or in middle school.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
very,
Right.
so you're saying that the radius or the radius of the circle is half of zero point
So,
0.5
yeah,
each?
the distance, yeah, well, no, the radius of the circle is one, because remember, the whole game that we're trying to play here is
Oh,
we're trying to get a bunch of these unit distances, okay? And these
yeah,
black things are points, and they're
yeah.
points on the grid, and these hollow circles are also points on the grid, right? So you got all these points on the grid, and this central blue point on the grid is a unit distance away from all 8 of these outer points. So yeah, so Erdős is like, look, I've got this grid where I've strategically spaced these points where each of them is 1 divided by the square root of 5, a distance away from its neighbor. So, it's about. So then when I make a 5 by 5 grid of these points that are fractionally spaced apart, then the central point is connected to 8 of its neighbors, because you can make 8 of these diagonal lines. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think that explaining all this might be beyond the scope of today's live stream, but like, I can at least give you a high level. It's like, look, he did better than unit distance 1, because the problem with unit distance 1 is you never get a diagonal, right? Because if you took this blue dot, you can see where my mouse is, right? So if you took this blue dot
Yeah.
and you tried to connect this corner dot, now you got the square root of 2, but you don't want the square root of 2. You want 1, right? You want another unit distance. And look, this
Okay.
only has this cross that looks like a plus sign. You're only getting 4 unit distances, but when you can go diagonally, instead of getting 4 straight up and down, straight left and right, now you've got 8 diagonal ones. So basically, diagonal is better than going straight up and down and straight left and right.
Yeah, I mean, he's making a minimum viable shape for maximum 1 unit distance connections between dots. Like the minimum viable shape or the simplest shape is a
Right.
circle. So let's see, circle create, for 4 dots, a circle gives you two. It gives you 2. What do you call them? Segments. 2 segments. And when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. When you have 8, then you get 3 segments. And when you have 10. It gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something. So he's like starting to prove the theory clearly with like a circle as the first example of like the shape that you can create from the dots.
Yeah. Now this is an interesting one, because he managed to find a grid distance where you can get the plus going, the straight up and down plus, and you can get diagonals going. I think this is the optimal solution. I'm not sure. No, sorry, it's not optimal, because there are solutions where you can even have like more diagonals. You can have more than 8 different diagonal segments. I think it's actually unbounded how many of these diagonals you can have, as long as you have like these fine enough grids. But the problem is that in order to make really fine grids, you need to have like enough points too. So the idea is like the more points you have, the finer you can make your grids, and like the more options you have for your grids. And so the more options you have to like find a way to have these circles that have like lots of diagonals that happen to land in the right place on the circles. Okay, yeah. So I think I've screwed up I've already kind of gone beyond my depth.
You gotta go back. Okay, but okay, so
I guess
he made the circle. So now what?
Right. Okay. So let me try to like give a high level sketch of my takeaway from all this. Right. So the idea is, so Erdős is like, okay, yeah, we have this game of trying to maximize unit distances, and he did actually make a pretty like he took a big assumption here, which is the whole idea that you can have a grid, right? Because think back to over here, you don't even see a grid, right? Like when you see these weird constructions that I showed you before, like, hey, 9 points in a weird construction, like there's literally no grid here, right? You just like place the points wherever you happen to like move them around when you're playing like the sliding the points around game, right? They did not land on a grid. So Erdős is like, look, I bet I could just have them land on a grid. And even though I'm adding a constraint, which I didn't need to add, it's going to make my life easier, and it's not going to sacrifice my performance in terms of like number of unit distances. That was basically his conjecture. Yeah, and so far he's making a pretty compelling argument. He's like, because look, I can. I'm not saying my performance is optimal, but I'm saying I can scale it pretty nicely, and I bet nobody can scale their performance that much better than I can scale it using this method. Like that was basically his conjecture.
Okay.
Yeah, so then it just gets kind of complicated, where they teach you like what the deal is. They do a little bit of math of like, okay, how many diagonals are there? Well, it gets to the question of like, when you're using the Pythagorean theorem and you're getting these whole number solutions, like how many whole number solutions are there? Like if the radius is like 5, we saw that like 1 squared plus 2 squared worked, but like how many sums of squares can you get? And it turns out that like the number of sums of squares that you can put together corresponds to the number of diagonals you're going to be able to make that are unit distances. Yeah, somebody's saying new place to frown is saying Pythagorean triples. I think that's the idea, like how many different Pythagorean triples are there that add up to a certain number. And like number theory tells you it has like a formula where the number of triples grows. I don't even know. There's like some formula of how much it grows. All right, one sec. I think there might be a special guest here. I think my son was mentioning that he wants to get on the stream. On my almost 7-year-old son. Let's see if he's here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Bud,
Are we going to see him with his goggles?
want to come on Doom Debates, bud? All right. All right, everybody. This is our latest guest. Let's. All right,
We need to
say
hear
hi
the
to
theme
the live
music.
stream.
Hi.
Okay, one sec. So I gotta set up the AV situation here because I'm using my earphone. One sec. All right, Ez, wear the earphone. I'm gonna stick this in your ear, okay? All right, Ori, talk to him.
Ezra, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. He can hear.
Hey, all right.
All
I
right, bud,
saw
here,
you
can
were
say-
I saw you were getting ready for this. You had some special goggles on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we I heard you're a big you like ChatGPT Harry Potter stories. Is that what we should do? Little
Yeah.
Liron, that's what people are saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, Ezra, tell him what kind of Harry Potter stuff are we talking about these days?
The interview.
The interview?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's been watching like the Harry Potter cast doing interviews. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so
nice.
we've been talking about Harry Potter. Ezra, so as you know, this show is all about debating whether computers like ChatGPT, also known as Compy,
Yeah.
debating whether computers are going to take over the world or be bad for humanity. So what has been your experience using ChatGPT? Would you say it's mostly positive?
Yeah.
What was the last thing that ChatGPT helped you with last night?
Well, the last thing was the interview.
Okay, we watched the interview of the Harry Potter characters, but before that, right? I think you were trying to do something in a certain game.
Oh, Minecraft.
Okay, yeah. So tell us, how did you use ChatGPT to achieve what you were trying to do in Minecraft?
Make a portal.
Okay, yeah. Tell us the story.
So I was just a lot of days I was trying to make a type of portal, and then I asked him, and he taught me.
That's right. Yeah. So you're playing your Nintendo Switch, and you're in Minecraft, and you're trying to make a portal. I don't even understand Minecraft, by the way. So it's all him.
Yeah.
You're trying to make a portal, and then I saw you take the iPad. Right. You stood up the iPad next to the next to the Nintendo Switch. So you were second screening, and you were you typing or using voice mode?
Both.
Okay, so you're typing and using voice mode, and you asked it what?
How do you make the portal?
Okay, and then what did it say?
It said you get obsidian and you get the flint and steel, and you like it's like 4 blocks wide and 4 blocks tall.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. It was literally like using ASCII art to be like, okay, here you have to like move these blocks together, and then you get a portal. And then you took the advice and you made the portal, right? It worked perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a
Wow.
positive experience.
That's impressive. Already
Yes.
doing tech support. I mean, you're already troubleshooting. That's cool.
Exactly. So, do you think that there could potentially be any downside to AIs like ChatGPT?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, talking to you.
No.
Okay, you heard it here, guys. There's no downside. Well, let me ask you, out of all your experiences with ChatGPT, has it ever done anything bad, or what's been the worst thing it's ever done, if anything?
Well, I never seen it done anything.
Yeah, you've never
bad.
seen it. No, and that is fair. That is fair. And I do admit on the show that I do think AIs today are quite helpful, and it's hard to even imagine how they'll turn bad. But then when you think about this show, Doom Debates, right? Because you were talking about being on
Yeah.
Doom Debates, do you want to basically debate that AI is a force for good? No. Okay. So what is your position? You got to take a position.
I think it's gonna be good.
Okay. Fair enough.
I feel like that's
Here,
is that mommy's position? Is that what mommy thinks also?
Yeah. What does Mama think?
She never told me, so I don't know.
What does Mama think about Dada even doing this podcast?
She doesn't like it.
Okay. Hey, buddy, do you know what P doom means?
It means no,
It's like probability of doom. Do you know what probability means?
no.
Well, you know probability because we often do a bet, right? Like, do you know what it means to have like a 10% chance of rain?
It means that it's probably gonna rain for 2 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. So like a 10% P doom means there's like a 10% chance that there's going to be doom, like really bad stuff happening. So your P doom is low, right? Yeah, okay. Well, look at this. I got sound effects. You can pick if you want to do, you could do a whip or hasta la vista or a train.
Whip.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
is there any more I can do?
Yeah, you can use the mouse. You can pick one of these sound effects.
Where is it?
Right. The mouse pointer is right here.
I don't know where the mouse is.
Here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I think we should hear like, you know, Ezra
How do
should
I
say
do this?
his P doom again, and then we need a sound effect for it.
Yeah, okay, one sec. Here, let me help you, okay?
Wait, I got
Do
Oh, do the
yeah,
aw.
that's a good one. Yeah, we need an aw sound effect. Here, I think you're gonna like this one here. And just use this one to click. I think you're gonna like this one. You have to double click. Here, I'll do it for you. Oh, no, I can't. Here, just double click. You gotta use this finger here. Double click.
a fart.
Yeah.
What about?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I like that.
Looks like Ezra won this round. Ezra, we heard that
Nice.
you keep beating your dad at bets. Like you bet it was gonna rain, and then you got a lot of money from him.
Whoa.
All right, don't play with the gun. That's not safe.
I'm not. That's
Hey,
the
bud.
gun.
Hey, tell Ori about the bet that you won.
Oh yeah, that's the gun. But did you already tell him?
I think he knows. You know, we talked.
We want to hear
talked about it last week.
from your side. What what happened? Because
So,
your dad is
it
only
was
taking
like
bets.
one night
He thinks he's
was
gonna beat
reading
you.
me Harry. So one night we were reading Harry Potter, and I said I want to do a bet. So he said, "How about we do? Is it gonna rain tomorrow?" And then I just did it. And then he said he knew it wasn't gonna rain, and so then he said I should win big because I probably won't. So it was 12 against 1. So then it sprinkled a little bit, and I won.
You got $12 from that?
What?
You made $12.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my!
That's right. Yeah. And actually, you know what? There's another. So that is true. You were riding high on that particular bet, but there is actually another bet that was made. Do you remember that? Do you remember one of the other bets that we made?
What happened with you and mommy on that bet?
So wait, which one? The blank one?
There, yeah, the blank. Tell them about the
Oh.
blank one.
Oh, so okay, I will do it. So I probably it was like the first bet.
Yeah, you were still
So-
learning. I don't blame you.
It was the second bet, so I didn't know.
Okay,
So
you're new to
so-
betting.
Yeah. So I oh, are you gonna? Oh yeah.
Okay, are you okay if I play the video?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but you got to explain what happened, and then I'll play it. Okay.
Okay. So I said, if I don't blink, I'll give you $5, and you will give me $1, which it was not a good bet. If I don't blink for 1 minute, so
Should we try the bet
so
again though?
That's what. And then I didn't it.
Okay, let's roll the video of what happened last week.
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
That's funny.
We can't hear the audio. I don't know if
Mitzi
there's
did
audio
that
coming
too, and
from-
she actually made it.
Oh, you can't hear the audio? All right, give me a second.
Yeah,
Let me try it
there's
again.
no audio.
Yeah, the audio is critical. All right, one sec.
You want him to hear me crying?
No, come on. You didn't cry. You just were a little
I was like,
sad.
oh.
It's actually funny because I think at first you kind of laugh. you were able to laugh at yourself, but
like,
then you also
oh.
okay.
Okay, now we hear.
Versus year 5, we shook on it.
I can hear it.
Yeah, because you're trying not to blink.
It's funny. Yeah, I laughed.
All right, so you're trying to make it one. Oh, you just
Up
blinked.
there, he blinked.
All right, buddy, $5 for me.
No.
Okay, buddy, you owe me $5. Your facial expression kind of changes. It kind of changes from smiling to sad.
I'm not sad, it's smiling.
Okay, instant replay here. See, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, but then what happened after?
Can we get an instant replay where you say,
know you mean
okay,
that.
now you owe me $5?
I said,
Yeah. All right, buddy, $5 for me.
No.
Okay, buddy, you owe me $5. Sorry, bud. But then what happened? What happened after, bro?
Oh my god.
like that day, like a different bet.
Yeah, what happened later?
I-
I said you didn't have to pay me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, you happy now?
Yeah.
And you learned your lesson, right?
yeah.
Yeah. What lesson did you learn?
That, well,
That you should try again right now.
no.
The bet- I mean, isn't the lesson that if you make a bet, you can win real money and you can lose real money?
Yeah, and don't be overconfident. Okay,
It-
well, I think yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know, so I didn't know to pay more money for a bad bet.
Yeah, that's right. You shouldn't bet at 1-to-1 odds, right? It should have been like my 5 to your 2, not my 5 to your 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you deserve to win big if you're able to hold out a minute. Okay, well, how about
And
this?
you
We got to
know-
set the over under.
And you know your data is gonna follow through on the bet. If you bet a money and you win or lose the bet,
Yeah.
he's gonna say pay up.
Exactly. Yeah, you better pay up. But you got to give it to me in escrow next time. I need the cash up front. Here, let's do the over under. So we name a number of seconds where we think it's equally likely that you will be able to not blink for that long versus you won't. And then that way we can pick which side of the bet we take. And it's 1-to-1 odds. So do you think 20 seconds is realistic to keep your eyes open?
No.
No. Do you think 15 seconds?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
No, I'm not doing it though.
You don't want to do it live on the stream? Here, just look at this nice white light where the camera is and try not to blink.
The lights.
Here, I have an idea. I have an idea for a bet. Okay,
How about don't laugh?
Okay.
how about
I
is
can-
mommy
and I
gonna
can do
appear
this.
on the stream? When is mommy gonna appear on the stream, if ever?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, she's been pretty clear that never is the likely option. We can make a bet on what time will I get a text asking if I'm still streaming. Okay, but all right, like next week on the show, my 4-year-old.
No.
No, so he has a sister, Mitzi, for his old. She doesn't even use Compy at all, right?
Yeah.
But actually, our youngest kid, Raz, who turned 3,
Yeah, he loves it.
well, he hasn't been using Compy, but he's been able to talk to YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
And-
How does
and then
Raz use-
once and then sometimes he likes like play cars.
Exactly,
Because
yeah.
he keeps saying it over and over again. So then I started playing it over and over again, and then something weird after, and then Mickey started doing like play.
I remember that, yeah.
play.
Exactly. So basically,
And
all
it's
our
very
kids are able to
annoying,
use voice mode to talk to the iPads. It's pretty funny.
But usually I type
okay.
because it's very annoying.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Anything else you want to talk about, or are you good for today's Doom debate? All right. Thanks for coming on, bud.
I'll come back. Next
Bye.
All right. Come back next Friday. Give us the latest updates.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Oh man, we needed a bet. We needed to make you guys do a real bet.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. My wife just came in being like, "Where were you?" I was scared. Okay. All right, ready. So that was our drop in. A drop in 6-year-old news segment. You know, we got to learn from the youth, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta.
Hell yeah, that was awesome. I mean, you're teaching them some pretty complex betting concepts.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a little bit of it is stuck. I don't know. We'll give him this much. He remembered the sequence of events that happened. It's like, did he know any of the takeaways? Yeah, I like to think that some part of his brain has remembered it.
This comment, Lex there had a good comment. Lesson that Ezra learned. Lesson, price in the possibility of bailouts to your bets.
Yeah, exactly, right. Which we covered that last week, right? And maybe on a subconscious level, I feel like kids do that, right? Like that's why he felt safe plunging into the bet.
Right. He didn't know who he was up
Exactly.
against. You caved though.
Yeah, it's like everything I learned about prop betting, I learned from a 6-year-old. You know, that we should like write a book of wisdom like that. Yeah. All right. I think we should quickly finish out the math thing, right? I mean, I feel like we shouldn't dwell, but like there probably is like one final takeaway here.
Is there? Okay, I feel like maybe you could wrap it up. I mean,
All right, let's wrap it up. All right. So we tried to maximize the unit distances.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, I'll just give you context on what was solved. Okay. So Erdős basically conjectured, look, my grid with all the diagonals, like I have enough diagonals going that and remember the length of the diagonal radii is 1. So the number of diagonals is so many that even if you try to like not use a grid and have some different configuration and try to like get clever and do all these crazy designs, you're not going to significantly beat just having the right grid with a bunch of diagonals. Like that was his conjecture. And it did seem pretty plausible. Like I agree with Erdős's intuition that was a plausible guess. But then the AI somehow came out and said, no, I have a configuration that actually beats a grid. So in that sense, it disproved the conjecture. Remember, we were confused about whether it proved or disproved it. So there's a diagram here that gives you a little bit of an intuition for the AI's approach, courtesy of the author of this piece. So it looks like this. So the AI managed to like invent some configuration of points that doesn't look like a grid. You can see it has like all these like mini circles of points. And the idea is that like, if you start from any of these black points in this diagram and then look at all the unit distances from those particular points, like it turns out you'll just be able to have more of these red lines. But there's a caveat where like this particular diagram doesn't demonstrate that. But if you make the diagram so big that it's like bigger than the universe, like much bigger than the physical universe, like that's how big the diagram has to be before the AI solution starts overtaking the Erdős solution. So it's crazy stuff. There's like more details, but yeah, the point is like it found, and remember what we were saying about like high dimensional space. So it's not like a high dimensional space in terms of like 10 dimensions or 50 dimensions or whatever. Like it's high dimensional in the sense that like there's this thing where you like add a square root to a bunch of integers. So like instead of just looking at like the integers, you look at the integers plus some square root. And in that sense, it's like another dimension for numbers. And like it used the, anyway, never mind. Like I don't think any of these details can survive the simplification of a stream like this. Okay. So hopefully I added like 1 minute worth of explanatory value to the disproven conjecture. I encourage you to read the post. And then actually, let me link you to this, because if you are a little bit math inclined and you read the post and you're still a little bit confused as I was, you can get a little bit less confused if you go and read what I tweeted. I tweeted out here. Let me share the tab. I tweeted a link. You can go to my Claude here where I was basically like grilling Claude about this article. I was saying, hey, Claude, can I ask you questions about this? And I was asking it questions like, hey, was Erdős conjecturing that literally just a grid of points is the optimal arrangement of points for the most unit distances? And it was saying like, no, not exactly, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you can see I was saying, I explained the intuition of why extra diagonals aren't worth. Oh, you don't see the tab? 1 sec. All right. So you can see here.
Yeah, there it is.
I was talking to Claude, and you can go see my Claude conversation on Twitter. You can see I was asking, explain the intuition of why extra diagonals aren't worth at super exponential scale. And it went ahead and explained. And yeah, I mean, look, this is definitely like a peak experience using AI, because I read a post, I half got it, and then I pull up an AI and I can converse to my heart's content. And literally within like 1.5 seconds, I get like a perfectly prepared paragraph that's exactly what I want to know about the piece. And like, I know this is old news. I know, this already happened like 2 years ago, but I don't study that much math, right? So the opportunity to like use a task math questions was pretty amazing. So yeah, I encourage you guys to go read this Claude thing. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, if we're talking about it, I mean, isn't it interesting post? Like, how about the Scott Aaronson post? Did you retweet that, or I'm sure you saw?
I don't think I retweeted. I asked Scott Aaronson a question though, and I feel like that's actually kind of interesting. If not the post itself, the question I asked him is interesting to me.
Sure.
So let me pull that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Scott Aaronson is actually somebody I'd love to get on the show. I just haven't gotten around to it, but he's, I've started reading Scott Aaronson like when I was in high school. So he's definitely like an intellectual hero. All right, 1 sec.
Yeah, I mean, the gist of his article was sort of like, hey, we are now at a point where AI is able to do the kind of scientific research. Yeah, possibly the last days of human relevance.
Right. Yeah, dispatches from last days of human relevance. So he's talking about the unit distance problem, and he had an update with like more problems getting solved. What was your takeaway from the Scott Aaronson post? Just we might be at the last days here.
I mean, here he is like a scientist in the frontier of like of this kind of
Yeah,
research, and he's like, maybe, the thing that I work so hard on, like this tool that we've made can do everything that I'm trying to do. What do I do? He was kind of contemplating that.
right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I mean, I agree. That was basically the takeaway. Let's see. Oh, look, I haven't read this endnote yet. He says, endnote, I should have foreseen, but didn't, that the comments on this post would be dominated by people looking for ways to minimize whichever specific AI accomplishments I blogged about. Thus, it turns out the ability of AI to solve Erdős problems just demonstrates that Erdős problems were never serious math in the first place. Nothing like algebraic geometry or Grothendieck-style theory building. Should have censored that. Which remains untouched. Likewise, the story I shared was obvious AI slop. I had taken it as obvious that when assisting AI's impact on the world, one needs to look at least somewhat into the future to remember where things were 4 years ago compared to where they are today, and at least try to draw a straight line through the data, if not the experiential, the exponential that seems to fit better. Does anyone seriously doubt at this point that major problems in algebraic geometry does anyone doubt that major problems in algebraic geometry and other Grothendieck-friendly areas of math will fail to future AI models, or that AI-written stories will improve not only to win literary awards from AI native judges, but to avoid the features that commenters here are complaining about? And whenever that happens, there will be new confident reasons not to care immediately offered in the comment sections like mine. Apparently, people do still doubt, hence the throwaway remark in my post about Penrose and Hameroff and microtubules, right? And remember, search Doom debates Penrose for Penrose's objections. If not that or something like it, what exactly do they think the ceiling will be and why? Recently, I should have mentioned this before, I came across what I consider one of the greatest social experiments of all time, one that illuminates people's reactions to every AI advance. A Twitter/X user named Schloms displayed the following AI-generated fake Monet painting and asked people to explain what made it worse than the real Monet painting. If you haven't seen this yet, I recommend that you try the exercise before reading further. As it was, numerous art aficionados responded at length, savaging the flat, lifeless, uncreative AI slop. The emotionless composition, the missing spark, the lack of tranquility, the harshness, the lack of depth and symbiosis, and on. Only after they had all said their piece did Schloms reveal that this is, in fact, an actual Monet painting. Yeah, he really
Snap.
trolled him hard. I love that.
Fuck yes, schlongs. Oh God, it's so annoying. The AI art.
Right.
It's It's like they're just on a team. I mean, wow. They looked at a Monet painting. I mean, they were saying it's shit. Fucking
No, I know. They look I mean, look, it's these trolls are like so obvious, so obvious. Yeah, and look, it's a weird thing. I mean, I'm happy to be a little bit humble too, which is like I have been surprised by how many things AIs can do that take so much intelligence without skipping even farther ahead, right? So like the existence of LLMs doing so many things that humans can do without like I'm happy to admit that I thought by this point there would be kind of like a snap to the next paradigm where AIs are like, look, we figured out how to be intelligent. Like intelligence is kind of like this step. We got ourselves up to the step. We don't have the same limitation as the human brain. Like we have way more, we can just throw more computation at it. And so we're off to the races. Now, I think that is a description of what's happening, but it's happening on like a multi-year time scale. Whereas my intuition was that the snap would have happened on a matter of, I don't know, hours, right? Like an Eliezer style Foom. So like, I'm happy to admit that we're past the point where I would have predicted that like a very rapid Foom would have already started by. And I hesitate to speak for Eliezer, but I think that if he had to guess, as far as I can tell, I do think that if forced to guess, he would have been like, yeah, probably would happen by now. But to defend both Eliezer and myself, I think we're both saying that that wasn't like the main load-bearing prediction, right? The main load-bearing prediction is that like, it's not like when your boat is going to like get into the water. It's the fact that like, if you keep pushing that boat into the water, it's eventually going to like float and chug around the water. Like we're kind of pushing into this new regime of surfing. Like, I don't know if that's the best analogy, but like we're in the foothills, right? We're at the beginning of this new regime and it hasn't taken off yet. But it seems like it's I still claim that it's going to take off. Okay. I still think there's going to be recursively self-improving or at least vastly superhuman intelligence. And the fact that it's just knocking off puzzles one by one on a matter of weeks or months or years instead of hours, I don't think that the big takeaway is like that much impacted at the end of the day. Right, Ori?
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, and the thing that stands out to me is recursively self-improving. I mean, that is happening right now. I mean, all the AI companies are using AI to program the next version of the AI. It's just not quite as fast of a loop because like you said, it's kind of a strange form of intelligence because it's not like a human brain. If a person could work as quickly, as GPT to solve this Erdős problem, then they would be able to have so much power, right? I mean, probably in clock time, it took GPT, the OpenAI model to solve the problem. Probably in clock time, it took like 5 hours or something like that, right? I mean, so
Right. It's already going fast. Yeah. I mean, it's getting there. It's chipping away. It's like zoom out. If you just zoom out and like give it a few years instead of giving it a few hours, right? If you just open the aperture a little bit, it does. I would claim that it looks like it's moving. Like I would claim progress is going really, really fast. We should give a disclaimer to the audience right now, because remember when I said my opinion and then I was like, right, Ori? Okay. There was a commenter for last week's stream who thinks that you are like, being held against your will to repeat opinions that I have. Somebody thinks that you're not being authentic to yourself, Ori. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, yeah, I saw that comment, and look, that guy commenting on my this is the first time I've seen myself for an extended period of time on camera, and if if he has criticisms, I'm assuming it's a he. He has criticisms. Like, you have no idea what I think. Like, I'm like, when I look at myself on camera, I'm like, oh my god, this is how I come across. So yeah, I mean, I think that guy, I could understand where that guy was coming from. Like, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm being too much of a yes man. But I mean, but I am saying my authentic opinions. Like, if I agree with you, then I say I agree with you. Or if I don't, if I disagree, I'll say that I disagree, or maybe just not say anything at all. But you're not forcing me.
Lex here in the chat is saying, Ori, don't blink for 2 minutes if you need help.
No, if I don't blink for 2 minutes, then I win $100, right, Liron? That's the bet that we made.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's just my it's just my style. I'm I'm a hype man. What can I say?
Right. Yeah. Ori's naturally a positive guy. Yeah. I mean, look, I guess the thing to point out to in this case, for those who think of holding Ori hostage, is it's not like, I mean, he got to choose which podcast he wanted to be part of, right? So he could have easily gone and worked for David Shapiro, right, or whatever, like Israel.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe I'm just maybe it's a false flag. Maybe I do work for David Shapiro.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, yeah. Some people are saying that you've seen me debate me. All right, so yeah. So if you ever want to mix it up, don't worry. I'm not going to stop you.
Thank you, Brian.
You're not being detained.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's go to my comment here. So this is unrelated to Scott's post, but I said I bring this up a lot in the show, and I was actually sloppy. Though I should have known to put a better case for this. But I say I wonder if it might soon be the case in practice that P equals NP plus AI. That's my equation. I'm like shinging right now. I'm like stone. This is kind of like a stoner equation. Doesn't really make any sense, but P equals NP plus AI in the sense that AI will be able to find a solution or an approximation, shortcut, or satisfactory workaround to any NP problem that we care about. Then our only hope is that taking over the world is closer to P space hard, and AI algorithms won't reduce problems so easily there. So yeah, I was basically telling Scott Aaronson, one of the greats of complexity theory, one of the living greats, I was basically saying, do you think P equals NP plus AI? This is only on the internet. Do you get to, does somebody like me get to ask somebody like him a question like that? So Scott actually replied to, he said, he quoted me and he's like, well, I doubt this is true, if only because NP problems include all the cryptographic problems that were specifically constructed to be hard, like Bitcoin mining and LWE. What is LWE? Is it one of those logarithm problems? Man, I should know what that is. I've read a lot of his stuff. So anyway, so there are problems in NP that are constructed to be hard, like cryptography, even like quantum secure cryptography, I think is still in NP. And I actually have thought of that before. I just forgot. Like somebody's asked me the question, like, really, Liron, do you really think that AI can break all cryptography that's in NP? And after thinking about it for 2 seconds, I was like, wait, no, I don't. So Scott busted out like the obvious correction that I forgot to like remember again. Like I didn't remember it when I asked him the question. I guess what I should have asked is like, okay, Scott, don't you think that except for like a few exceptions like this, which are like designed to be pathological, don't you think that all the practical problems, like Bitcoin mining is purposely saying, here's a hash function, which is like purposely designed to obfuscate. Do you think you can reverse this hash function? And the answer is probably no. Like, I think that security will hold. But any problem that's like practical in any way, you know, like traveling salesman, like shortest distance problems, like find the perfect shortest distance. The idea that the AI will like come up with like some workaround that's good enough. I do think there's something there. And sure enough, like Scott humors me. He continues, he says, while I can imagine AI proves P doesn't equal NP and the Riemann hypothesis, it's much harder for me to imagine an AI for which no natural open math problem, even let's say among those that ultimately do have reasonable length proofs, ends up being too hard. So he's actually saying that his intuition is that we won't be able to shake out all the interesting results from NP. So I do think there's a contrast. There is a little bit of a contrast between Scott's intuition and mine. I think I'm willing to grant super intelligent AIs. I'm willing to grant them a little bit more omniscience within the class NP than he is. And then he continues, he says, on the other hand, yes, something like what you say will almost certainly become increasingly true as AI advances, at least outside the realm of cryptography. Indeed, that's a huge part of the point of AI. So what Scott is saying is like this idea of like being able to solve problems that seem hard. Like NP problems are like problems that the definition of the NP complexity class is problems that it seems like it's hard to find a solution to this, but once you find a solution, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good solution, right? Solutions that are easy to verify, hard to find. What's a classic example of that? I guess a math proof, right? A math proof is a classic example because it's really hard to search for a proof of like all kinds of math. But then once you find a proof, you can like look over it in a few minutes and be like, well, that's a valid proof. Like this took humanity 50 years to find, but here it is. You show it to an expert, the expert can verify it in like a matter of minutes. So that contrast between like so much searching and racking your brain to find the answer versus finding the answer and verifying it quickly, that's characteristic of this class NP. And like, I don't know if I'd say a majority, but like a really huge fraction of things that are interesting to do in the world have this property of being like hard to find and then easy to verify. So I asked one of the complexity theory greats, you know, Professor Scott Aaronson, I asked him, hey, do you think AI is going to basically make NP easy, not just easy to verify, but easy to find effectively in practice? And he was like, you know, he kind of patted my head as he should. And he's like, yes, Liron, that is kind of the point of doing AI, right? A huge part of the point of AI is to take problems that we want to solve and try to easily solve them somehow. Like, right. So that's like the obvious thing to say. And then what I said of like every problem is like, well, I don't think it just seems like there's a whole ladder here, and it doesn't seem like AI will just like shoot to the top of the ladder. It seems like there's like a continuum where at the top you've got like the cryptography, which is intentionally designed to be hard, followed by some proofs that just happen to be hard to find for a reason we can't necessarily explain, but like it can still be too hard for AI. And like he's probably right, but I also think that there's a chance that there's like a hard separation between like cryptography at the very top, followed by like all proofs. Like AI will just shake out the entire bag of proofs in NP. Like I think there's actually a possibility of that.
Do you think that it also seems like part of his response is the response that a lot of people give with AI, which is like, yeah, AI can do a lot of things, but it's not going to win at my field. You know, like, you know,
No,
AI can never take
that's
my
a
job.
funny, yeah. That's a funny connection. Like, oh, I'm a guy who searches for proofs, and so AI is never going to search for proofs. That's a funny connection. Like, is he bringing his ego into this? But I do think that we're just talking about like the most basic theory of AI. Like, I don't think he's brought his ego into this. I think he's giving me a dispassionate analysis here.
Okay.
But maybe he is. Maybe he is. You never know.
It seems like he's saying that a little bit. Like, hey, look, AI is going to do a lot of things, but it's not going to solve everything, Liron. Which is kind of what you bring to different people that you debate against.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how that seems to come in every debate or in many debates. Like who was it recently that was saying how AI couldn't do exactly what their job is at? Oh man,
yeah, Andreessen.
Andreessen says it. Sure.
Somebody on the show said. I know somebody on the show said it recently. Yeah,
someone on the show was saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't name names. The funny thing
journalism,
is, knowing Scott, though, oh, journalism, right? Scott has a very self-effacing personality type. So if anything, he would go the opposite way, right? He would tend to tell you that that AI probably can do his job, and he'll just be like out on the street. Like that would be like his natural inclination to take it that direction.
I think that should be our like man on the street interview. It's like, oh, are you worried about AI taking your job? How about your job? How do you feel about it? Everyone's gonna be like, "No, well, AI can't really do what I do."
Yeah, exactly. Me and Ori are making big plans for next week, okay? Because we're going to be at Less Online. We're going to have like all this stuff that we're doing. And when the conference finishes, we're actually going to head out, spoiler, to the streets of Berkeley, California, right? UC Berkeley. Go Bears. Little known fact, I actually went to UC Berkeley as my college. And so we're going to go return back to the scene of my computer science education and go out and see like today's youth, right? Today's young adults talking about we're going to talk to them about what they think they're going to do when they graduate.
Yeah.
And,
And
like,
why
what
are
do
they
think we're
booing
doing.
AI at all these graduation speeches?
Exactly, right? Yeah. So that's coming soon, because I know that you guys, a lot of you guys are fans of Man on the Street. So we're literally going to go out on the street. So you can look forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Now that we're almost an hour and a half into this, should we get to Twitter?
Yeah, sure. We get
Let's get to the good
and
stuff.
I think somebody's been waiting patiently also to do a call in. So we'll do
Oh,
like
okay.
one
Yeah.
tweet and then we'll do one call in. How about that? We'll
Yeah.
mix. So here, all right, call in link. Here we go. All right, Ori, vamp.
Vamp. Okay. All right. Let's see what people are saying. Roy says, I feel like recursive self-improvement is kind of taken for granted in a lot of scenarios and isn't fully explained. Yes, totally agree with that. I mean, I think that a lot of scenarios have a sort of discontinuity phase where it's like, it's pretty powerful. It does a lot of useful things. And then discontinuity, it, suddenly takes over. Okay.
Yep.
You just shared
All
the
right, so we
call
got a call
link.
link, so feel free to use that.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, I'll head over to Twitter. I'll see what I bookmark from this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's just kind of funny because the vibes this week are that it's been a lull. Tzvi called it out in his update. Some people are calling it out, and people are like, well, and it obviously reminds me of like 9 months ago or a year ago when people are like, oh, AI progress is slowing down, right? And typically what happens is like, okay, yeah, we're an AI winter is now like a month, right? And then a couple of weeks later, it's like, oh, here's a new breakthrough. AI winter's over, guys, right? It's like everything's going like hyperspeed now.
Yeah. I mean, and people are spoiled. I mean, this week, Claude 4.8 came out, right?
Right, exactly. It's like the IQ of the AI that's available to everybody has noticeably increased, right? I told you I thought it was a little bit more thoughtful, noticeably. And it's like, yeah, there's been no news this week. Just the waterline of intelligence making humans useless has just like increased another few IQ points. It's like we're not made out of IQ points, guys. Like I'm already tapping out here.
Right. Scott Alexander
let's
was
just do,
tapping out.
Yeah.
Or Scott Aaronson.
Scott Aaronson. Yeah, you got to keep know your Scots. Know your Scott A's. Scott Aaronson, I got to get him on the show though, for sure. And remember, he is actually, he really gave us a nice comment because we actually did an episode where we reviewed him on a different podcast. And I just criticized him for being like, yeah, I was on the OpenAI safety team and like, this is what we did. And my main criticism was like, okay, look, you obviously had good intentions. It sounded like your boss, Ilya Sutskever, had good intentions. But it is kind of a Mickey Mouse attempt, to solve this problem that's clearly like way above, like you and Ilya are pretty clearly admitting, right, that the problem is just like light years away from where you need to be. And yet I don't see you being like one of the biggest doomers. You're kind of being like, a measured doomer. You're like a little bit of a doomer, but also like you're holding out a lot of optimism. So I was just like challenging Scott, like, why don't you become like an even bigger doomer, given that your own description of the situation is that it's like so hopeless. At least that was my read on his. So anyway, I made some claims. I don't know if everything I said was totally fair, right? Maybe I let him have it, but he had a really gracious response afterward. This is like over a year ago. Afterward, he actually posted on Facebook. He's like, hey, I recommend you guys watch this. It was like a really good critique, even the part where he tears me a new he even said that. He's like super gracious, and like I said, an example of that classic Scott Aaronson self-effacement. So maybe I'll see him again at Manifest, and then I'll get him it's got to be when you give somebody when you summon him to a court, I got to give him one of those, right? I got to give him I got to serve him papers to come on Doom Debates.
Yeah,
that's why I need to see him in person. All right, moving along. All right, so am I sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Okay, bookmarks.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a major problem where when I open Twitter, it's like I get so stuck on the home feed, right? It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to my Twitter bookmarks. Nope, I'm gonna just scroll stuff, right? Or like anyway. Okay, let's do an older one. Yeah, there's so many options. We're not going to get to all of them. Oh, this is the Kelsey Piper tweet I mentioned. I'll just read it. She says, if we really built super intelligent AIs at our current ability to understand and steer them, that'd be the end of humanity. It feels on a gut level like we won't really do that since it's insane. But people are pointed right off, like pissed off, I guess, that, oh, no, people are pointed right off that cliff and pressing the accelerator at full speed. That's what she's saying. Yeah. Oh, and this was actually in reply to a Beth Barnes tweet. Elizabeth Barnes, she's, I guess, the co-founder of METR. Let me show you her tweet. Here, I got to share this tab. Oh, it looks like my tab share.
No, we see her tweet.
I'll just.
We see her.
Oh, you do? Okay, weird. I wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm sharing the window, not the tab. Oh, fascinating. Okay. So Elizabeth Barnes says, our report, like the latest METR report, focuses on claims that are solidly defensible and generally agreed with METR. Here, I'll give some personal opinions. Yeah, so METR released a frontier risk report, and you guys know METR, they do that graph saying that the time horizon of AI keeps increasing. So this is a very notable comment from Beth Barnes. You know, this is arguably the number one most respected organization besides, let's say, AI 2027, right? Besides that organization, the number one most respected organization of telling us like where we stand on AI progress. And now she's tweeting, she's saying, the report focuses on a narrow set of risks from current systems and on analysis rather than calls to action. It doesn't really comment on how concerned should we be, does something need to be done, or are we on track to handle AI safety? Sometimes people outside the field say things like, the AI situation can't be that bad. There must be experts who are on top of it. As an expert, I would like to be clear that we are not on top of it. Some key aspects of the situation, in my opinion, number one, we are likely on track to develop AI systems capable of causing human extinction / permanent disempowerment, quite possibly within the next few years. Number two, things are chaotic and rushed. We aren't on top of the basics. Models regularly violate user intent. Labs train on things they meant to avoid. Security probably isn't good enough to prevent adversaries stealing dangerous models, let alone thorny questions of how to control / align superhuman AI. You know, this is starting to read like a laundry list related to like Eliezer's, from a couple of years ago. Remember, it was like inadequacy, like a list of lethalities, right? Like a list of reasons we're screwed. And here she's recapitulating, which always goes to show like Eliezer is always years ahead of everybody else, in my opinion. All right, so she's continuing. METR and other independent orgs, as well as safety / security teams at labs, feel woefully under-resourced compared to the scale and pace of AI development. We're struggling to build benchmarks fast enough, keep ahead of latest capacity developments, read and respond to all the safety-related claims that AI developers are making, run all the evaluations and assessments that companies and governments are asking us, plus develop the science needed to assess risk from increasingly capable AIs. I mean, what a statement that the leading organization is struggling to create the next benchmark.
That's a good point. I mean, we should dwell on that for a second. Oh, sorry. What was the? I didn't hear it.
It was what? I feel like the volume here is a little soft on that. Huh?
Yeah, the volume on that was too soft.
Compared to. Gotta work on that. Okay.
You could take the perspective of an OpenAI employee, or take the perspective of the rest of the world. That's the what versus the yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Right. OpenAI is saying, yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy that they're having trouble making benchmarks, right? It's like, what should I do in the next 2 weeks? Should I try to spend effort at measuring how far we've come, or should I push even farther? Because it's actually easier for me to just push the frontier than to even take stock of where I am.
Or how about the notion of like, people anecdotally say AI can't do that much. Like, literally, experts can't even find things that AI like concretely cannot do. Like
right,
it's saturating all the benchmarks.
I mean, unless you say, but there's the nuclear option of saying like, okay, make me $1 million, right? I think AI struggle to independently make $1 million.
Yeah, it seems like that's where the benchmarks are going. I mean, they're going to real world impact.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you're basically measuring an AI the way you evaluate an employee. You like hire the AI. Yeah. You're like, hey, can you,
right. This is random, but I've been having an experience with my own code. Like I've now been going a few months where I started with a code base that I worked on for like 8 years. For my own project, my own day job. We have a code base. We have a website that kind of runs the operations platform for coaching. It's a coaching platform. And I've been working on it for like 8 years of me handwriting code, artisanal handwritten expert code. And I haven't touched it for like literally 3 months now, right? Because I've been using Claude Code. I've just been talking to Claude about my code. And when I want to see code, I'm literally saying, hey, Claude, can you show me a bit of code from here? Like I just ask it to show snippets of my own code, and I don't even do that much. And it's just crazy how I'm now going like farther and farther away from the code being in the state that I wrote it in, right? And I'm just and I'm also caring less. I'm like, hey Claude, in this file, are you like roughly doing this? And it's like, yeah, we're kind of doing this. And I'm like, okay. Like I don't really know what's going on at this point, right? I'm just like I'm roughly kind of trying to give it hints and hoping that it is not creating too much technical debt. And I'm just like testing the functionality. Like that's all I care about at this point is testing the functionality.
Wow.
I know. I'm just vibe coding. I've completely abandoned, not completely, right? But I'm definitely getting on that vibe. And for the techie people out there, I migrated to a Postgres database, right? A Cloud SQL database. I used to use a NoSQL database because I think SQL is an annoying query language. I don't like SQL. I never wanted to touch SQL, but SQL is just really good for robust production infrastructure. Like SQL is not going to crash on you. You can like easily fork the entire SQL database. You can have test databases. Like SQL is basically like the gold standard of like operations. So I finally got us on a SQL database and I haven't written a single query. I just talk to the AI and ask it what's in my database. And I still use NoSQL conventions, right? I'm like, hey, what is like user survey fields age, right? Like I just ask it, like, I know that's not even how you're supposed to talk about SQL, but that's how I like to talk and it just translates.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Beth Barnes continues, any reasonable civilization would clearly be taking things much more slowly and carefully with AI. Let's see. I feel like, normally when people have sound effects, there's like a third party doing the sound effect, right? Because when I get the idea for the sound effect, it's like the moment has passed by the time I can actually go do it. All right. So she says, yeah, any civilization would be taking things much more slowly and carefully with AI. The benefits of getting upsides of advanced AI a little faster are small compared to the risks of getting it irrecoverably wrong. And we could lower these risks by going slower. Yeah, so that's basically her take. It's like she's an expert. She's saying AI should go slower. It's like at the end of the day, are we gonna listen? I guess not.
It's hard to look away from all the benefits, right? I mean, in some sense, you want the benefits of Opus 4.8, right?
Right? Hell yeah. All right. Okay, so that's Beth Barnes, and Kelsey Piper was basically echoing what she said. And all right, so so Alverin has been waiting patiently on the stream. Let's take a viewer call. Is it going to be a debate? Is it just going to be a niche topic? Let's see. Hey, Alverin, am I pronouncing your name right?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, you're pronouncing it right. Great job. Thank you for that.
No
Hold
problem.
on, I'll try and center myself here.
Cool.
Do you guys hear me fine? And is my camera good?
Yeah. It seems like you've got some podcasting experience.
Not really. I was on Destiny's stream at one point, which you recently had them on, and I was talking about AI Doom actually on his stream. So maybe you can credit me a little bit with putting that little earworm into his ear. I was comparing the Trump administration's like a lot of their decisions around AI, like the Stargate project and the and I was just like linking a bunch of different things together. But I know we're kind of short on time here, so there's like two things that I just want to go through real quick with you. The first one is just a quick fan question. It's not super serious. It's actually just kind of lighthearted. Whenever you ask people for their PDoom, do you actually play the noise for them, like right there? What? Oh, did he just drop?
Liron just messaged me, told me his power went out, but we can keep going. I can answer this question though, actually, because
Yeah.
I've seen what happens behind the scenes.
Okay, so what is it? So does he actually play it for them, or?
No, I mean it's just like a live conversation like this. So he's like, "Get ready for the big question," and yeah, I mean,
It's added post
I
production.
I guess we're revealing some of the secrets of how the podcast is made, but we
Sorry
don't.
about that.
But some people, some guests know about the big question, so they know what's coming. But many
Right.
don't watch full episodes to know it's coming. So
I was just
yeah,
curious if they heard like the actual AI generated, because I know it's like an AI generated like music that's played, like in the actual videos.
right.
I honestly I think it would be way funnier if he like played it for them so that they could hear it before they answered, because I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's funny. I love it.
Well, now that we have the soundboard,
Exactly.
maybe that's a possibility.
Exactly. Yeah, and then my other questions, I guess, I mean, I'm not sure I mean, you're pretty well read on this stuff, Ori. So you could probably.
I can take a shot at it. But
Yeah.
Liron's following also, or we could catch him up
Awesome.
when he gets back.
Okay, cool. So I guess my next thing requires a little bit of scaffolding, conversational scaffolding to explain adequately, I think. So I guess just to start, I kind of came up with this concept of what I call ASIQ. Okay. And so it's like a play on like intelligent quotient, right? And
Mhm.
the reason I developed this is because I was thinking about, so just to clarify, my like and just to give people like an idea of like where I'm coming from, my PDOOM is like a 3 layer cake, right? So it's like 49% of my PDOOM is like, yeah, things are gonna go like not great, and like we might have like, this extinction risk. 2% of my PDOOM is like actually like we might be able to get like a utopia out of this. So it's like the good outcome. And then the other 49% on the back end is we actually end up with, AI models that are just like permanently scaffolded over and over again. And like we don't ever actually like figure out how to do recursive self-improvement. So that's kind of where I'm at. On the AI doom spectrum, the PDOOM spectrum, if you want to call it that.
So your
And so
PDOOM is basically 49% is
pretty
the
much
because that's the Doom
49%.
side of it. Okay, all right, yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And then so this there's ASIQ thing is basically like, so an ASIQ of 100 to me would be like, okay, this model is now as intelligent as all of like society, right? Like it is just as smart as like if we had all put our brain power together to try to figure out some kind of problem. Like whenever we all came together to try and solve COVID, it's like that, right? Like it's something that can operate pretty much on a societal scale just as intelligently as we can. Now, my question for Liron is like, do you think that, I guess I have to start here, but like, and for you as well, Ori, do you think that researchers will actually know before we get to that point? Like, will they like be able to recognize like, oh, we're actually at an ASIQ of like 70. And so like maybe we shouldn't, hit the gas anymore. Maybe this is like a good point to pause. So that's like the first part of it. Like, do you think that we're going to be able to have any insight into how close we are to having an ASI that is like smarter than the rest of our society?
Well, I think that's part of what people like Liron are calling for. You know, even Eliezer Yudkowsky said in the debate with the debate that was hosted on not on this channel but on the other channel, Eliezer Yudkowsky said something like, or no, it was his interview with Liron. It's like he didn't define what the red line is. You know, he knows that the AI that's more intelligent than all of humanity is dangerous. He knows that the AI that builds that is dangerous. It's like, what is the it in if anyone builds it, if anyone builds it, everyone dies. What is the it? And yeah, I mean, I was just looking back at what he said, and he's like, it's the AI that's more powerful than all of humanity, or it's the AI that builds that. But it's like, where's the specific red line? He doesn't define it, and unfortunately, because it's hard to define. And then I mean, I'm just looking. Also, there was recently like a big uh, a big public letter called AI Red Lines. I'm just on their website now. It's red-lines.ai. And it's like, it's got all these important people signing it, like Nobel Prize winners, Nobel laureates, Yoshua Bengio, Yuval Noah Harari, author of *Sapiens*. And it's like, the headline is, "We urgently call for international red lines to prevent unacceptable AI risks." It's not that they came out and had actual red lines. It's like, we call to create the red lines. So uh, I think I think there is a question of, is it possible to define what those red lines should be? And yes, it's possible. And this is like this was, yeah, they launched this. It says they launched during the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. So it's like there's progress for like is serious important people to say, hey, let's get together and get really clear on what, where we define the threshold that we should set is. So people are working on that. And then there are actually some policy papers that do set some thresholds, but they haven't been, like I don't think they've been part of the discourse in a real way, like unfortunately, like they should be. But I mean, one example that is currently uh, moving forward with some progress in the UK, which is kind of exciting actually. Control AI is leading it. Is they're trying to get the UK government to say to put forward a policy that says just uh, as like a value to say we do not want to build super intelligence. So that's not specific. That's not like a specific red line like no AI, no data centers above this size, or like no AI above this many flops or whatever. It's not specific in that sense, but it's just declaring a value of we do not want to build AI super intelligence that's more intelligent than all of what humanity can do. So there is some progress to that, but and people want to get together and talk about it, but that's as far as it's going. And also, I think that many of the AI lab leaders say that they will do that, like that they want to do that. Like famously, Demis Hassabis from Google DeepMind, he constantly is saying, "Oh, we should have a like uh like the equivalent of like the international agencies that we have for atomic energy and for nuclear weapons." He's like we should have that for AI also. So um people are trying to make progress on that, but it's hard to know how genuine. I mean, this is my opinion, like how genuine, how much effort are people like Demis Hassabis putting towards it. They're like, it certainly seems like the Googles, the Anthropics, the OpenAIs. Oh, here we go. We got our guy back.
I'm
He's
caught in between.
Liron is logging
Hey,
back
power
in.
outage. Can you guys
Yeah,
hear
how,
me?
yes, but you sound a bit echoey.
Yeah, I sound bad. For some reason, my microphone isn't working as usual, so I'm using like a worse mic. Is it good enough, or should I try to fix it?
It's good enough. Yeah, I mean,
Good
but
enough.
it's like some
So,
random echo. It's like your laptop. It's like your laptop mic.
yeah, right. It's like a low
Uh,
quality mic for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, I was just complaining about how the AI leaders will make statements saying like, yeah, we should. Oh shit, my mic. Now my mic. The AI leaders will make statements like, yeah, we should get together. We should all work together on this. And, it seemed like a lot of lip service. Like, here they are like pouring billions and billions of dollars into like making data centers to making new AI capabilities. And they can't even, devote what fraction of resources are they devoting to like calling for policy change, like to bring people together to work on this policy that they say is critically important.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I agree. It's messed up.
I guess I have a follow up. So my follow up is like, I guess like the way I see this working in my head is like, at some point we're gonna get the ability. Well, arguably, like it seems like we're aiming towards recursive self improvement. Like we want to create models that can improve themselves, and like we don't have to be in the loop as much, right? But I guess the way that I see it is like maybe it could be the case that the current researchers are like, well, we're not really at the point to where we figured out true recursive self-improvement. Like we're still very much like in the loop. Like we are automating like a lot of coding, but it's not like, oh, I sent off like 100 AI agents and they gave me like a new model on Monday. I'm curious as to what you guys think about once we get to the point to where we do have recursive self-improvement, whether the researchers might just be of the position that like, oh, well, we're going to know how close we are to a model that is actually dangerous for us. And the reason we're not like spending a whole bunch of money on, throwing on the brakes is because we're actually just not at recursive self-improvement yet, right? But once we get to recursive self-improvement and then we're like, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so now we actually need to throw on the brakes. What makes you, I guess, not confident that they will just throw on the brakes at that point?
You're muted, Liron. It's the famous Hail Mary, the famous Hail Mary. Well, I mean, I think Eliezer Yudkowsky had like a great, critique of this, which was like, well, they haven't been prioritizing safety up to now. So suddenly when things really get critical, then they're gonna pull back. Like as much as I guess we lost Liron. I mean, for context, everyone. Oh yeah, Liron said he had a power outage. Randomly had a power outage. So here we are. I guess he's logging out and logging back in. No, we don't hear you. I see you talking.
This is very convenient for you, Liron. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we don't hear you.
A little bit of comment.
Testing.
Yeah,
There we
now
go.
we got you. Yeah.
Oh,
We-
weird. That is so weird. It's coming now?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep trying it. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what Ori said. And it's like, look, there's always that possibility. And yeah, by the way, if it's crazy loud, I can also turn down, like, is it better if it's this volume? Testing.
Yeah,
So
that's
fine to me.
better. That was a little
All right,
better.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So the thing is that, yeah, you could always argue, hey, they're going to get spooked enough, or some circuit breaker is going to trip where they'll be more sane, and so will everybody else. But they certainly aren't acting now like they're preparing to break any circuits, right? They're just acting like they're racing. Like, you see what I'm saying? So you can always hope, but there's just not many signs of it.
Right. I guess my position is like, or like my skepticism comes in at it could be the case that the reason that they're not focusing on safety right now is because like the safety consequences are so limited right now, right? Like it's like we don't actually have any instances where the models are like causing like mass catastrophes yet because we haven't like implemented them in that way. But like once we get to the point to where we're like, okay, now we are ready to start implementing these models. And then that's another thing. Like I think what they're really aiming for is like they're aiming for this recursive self-improvement. And so like I think once they get to the actual recursive self-improvement and they cross that horizon, it might be the case where they're like, okay, now stuff is serious. We're not just like talking to the model, right? We're not just like communicating with it. Now like it has this ability to improve itself wildly but beyond like what we already figured out. And then one extra little thing to tack onto this. Sorry, I know I'm kind of filibustering you here, but I imagine if we do get to this system, like, what do you think about them like limiting, like what I call them as actuator channels, like making it so that the model can only produce text or actions within so it's a powerful model. It's like a super intelligent model or close to super intelligence, maybe like right underneath super intelligence, but it can only generate and produce information that we basically allow it. So for example, maybe like we ask it a question, but we only let it answer in multiple choice to kind of like protect against like super persuasion, for example, or, to stop it from like being able to like break out of its box or whatever. Like if we don't ever actually program it or give it the ability to do those things, and we're dealing with an actual recursive self-improvement at this point, not just like a chatbot, then like I don't know, I feel like the AI safety is going to scale up as the capabilities scale up, but like we're just not necessarily there yet. And like the AI safety, another thing is like it's hard for me to imagine how a super intelligent system can bypass those actuator channels that we develop for it, right? Like I can imagine if we literally like just put it on the internet, like yeah, of course, like it's going to be able to get past those actuator channels, but it's hard for me to imagine like if we literally just keep it in like an air-gapped box in a bunker underneath like the United States and then we only let it answer us in multiple choice questions, like how does it get to the point to where it's like actually gonna take over the world from that spot? Do you think it just convinces us over like a long period of time? Or
You're muted. Yeah, there you go. No, we heard you for a second, but you were muted at first. Now you're muted.
what a tragedy. This is no, Liron, you can't do this to me.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I've been trying to get this conversation for no, not really, but I have
Yeah.
been watching you guys like every Friday, and I was like really hoping you guys would do call-ins again so I could get these questions out. There we go. We can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I think I've got a workaround where I'm just using a simpler configuration here. Okay, it's coming in pretty crisp.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. This does mean that I don't think I can do sound effects. So is there even a point to doing the stream at this point if I can't do the sound effects? But okay. All right. So yeah, so you basically asked two questions that are kind of related. Basically, like, can we stop it when it just starts getting more and more dangerous? And what if we only let it communicate multiple choice and air gap it? The classic AI in a box problem, right? It's always good to revisit that occasionally. I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know, which order should we take them in? I guess backwards order. So the classic AI in the box problem. Well, I mean, these days, the AI in the box problem, it's just so implausible that anybody's actually going to keep it in the box. I mean, they're all rushing to make it available by API. They all want to talk to it. I mean, it would imagine the intellectual daring to be an AI researcher today being like, I've trained a new model and I'm only going to let it talk to me with multiple choice questions. Right. Even before we get into the effectiveness of that, imagine the boldness, and somebody's boss would be like, well, your coworker here is actually training the AI in only 2 days. How fast are you training your AI? Because it's bonus time, and who's going to get there's like so much pressure, and like, hey, our competitor, Elon Musk with Grok, he says he's going to train it in 5 hours. So yeah, the idea that somebody would have the discipline to only do that is starting to really stretch belief. But if all the AI companies agreed, hey, we can only talk to the AI in the form of multiple choice questions, okay, I mean, I think that would buy time, right? But if the problem is you still want it to give you like elaborate answers, right? So enough multiple choice questions adds up to anything, right? Like what letter do you want to say next? Like a Ouija board, right? So by the time you're getting useful information out of it, you're just going to ask it more questions. You're going to take longer, but it's still going to be like the more useful stuff you want out of it, the more channels you're giving it for it to manipulate you, right? Unfortunately, there's like a very tight correspondence, right, between how much it's helping you and how much it can hurt you. It's like you let somebody in your life, right? You love them, but then you give them the power to hurt you. It's like kind of analogous to that, right?
Yes. Quick clarification, though, I guess. For me, the big thing that's like separating this in my mind is like, I think the reason models are widely distributed now is because they're chatbots, right? Like that's like the extent of like what they are. I think if Demis Hassabis, for example, was convinced that they had actually figured out and cracked recursive self-improvement, I don't think Demis Hassabis would be like, oh, cool, like we got to deploy this next Wednesday so that we can like automate like call center jobs away. Like he would be like, oh, let me get the president on the phone so we can talk about like what the future of technology is going to look like.
Okay, so are you kind of satisfied with the multiple choice? Like why that doesn't seem super promising?
So for the multiple choice, like I guess at the end of the day, really, like they could super persuade us over through multiple choice, like over like decades and decades if they really wanted to.
But it's not over decades. Remember the relationship is that by the time the multiple choice is useful or interesting, by that time you've also opened the persuasion channel, right? So if you're only asking like 10 questions total, okay, yeah, maybe it can't persuade us, or it'll have a hard job, but we're gonna like is that a realistic scenario? Or like, okay, we've only asked it 10 questions. Like by the time we've asked it something interesting, it can say a lot.
Let me think about this. So you're saying that like anytime if we have, okay, I guess this is the way I see it too. This is another thing that we should add, like another element that we should add to the conversation is I think for us to be super persuaded, what if, for example, and I described this to Ori earlier, but I don't know if you heard about it, but the artificial super intelligence quotient, the ASIQ, maybe you need like an ASIQ of 1,000 instead of 100 to actually super persuade us, just because the problem of super persuading us is so complex. So for example, I don't think that all of our world could like write a document that could make me do something that I know is like harmful to myself, right? If I just read it. So like super persuasion, I think is possible, but I think like you need like an exponential amount of intelligence. It's not like, oh, if this model is as smart as our society, then it can super persuade me. But if this model is as smart as our society, it could probably solve a lot of different forms of cancer, if that makes sense. So we can limit how smart the model is getting, even though it's smarter than us, I guess, ideally.
Okay, I mean, but it does seem like you're, this is kind of a separate part of your argument, right? So maybe we can seal off the part of your argument. Okay.
Let me draw the connection then. So let's say you have this super intelligence, but it's not smart enough to super persuade you, but it is smart enough for you to, so like super persuasion wouldn't be an issue, right? If it was not smart enough to super persuade us, because super persuasion is such a hard task, right?
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like once we have AI, I mean, you can already talk to today's top AIs about how to go about like doing marketing, right? Doing persuasion. And to me, it seems like there's a pretty consistent connection between the fact that they can't be self-driven doing large programming projects. Like they do kind of need to stop and I'm able to give them advice. So they're not fully super intelligent there yet. It does seem to me like that is pretty closely related to how they can't be super persuasive, like effectively persuade over time. I feel like my best guess is at around the time that they can like operate their own utility online, like build it, make money from it, maintain it. that's probably going to be around the time that they can like operate their own like influence campaigns online. I mean, maybe not, maybe it'll be lumpy, but it just seems like there's kind of a connection there in terms of like an autonomy level.
Sorry, I guess when I think about super persuasion, I'm not actually thinking about like, oh, we're gonna like, write some stuff like online. I guess I'm thinking of like this model is inside of like a bunker somewhere, and Sam Altman or Demis Hassabis or the president is talking to it, and you're saying like, oh, this model is gonna convince the president or Sam Altman or Demis Hassabis specifically to let it out of the bunker because it's not connected to the internet, right? If it's a model that can recursively self-improve, they're not. I don't think they're gonna put that on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, so you're imagining a scenario where there's a supermodel, like a Mythos type situation, right? I mean, I like to think Mythos isn't on the internet, even though like hackers claim to have infiltrated the weights and everything, right? So that
Sure,
there,
yeah.
there's a claim of a failure of security with Mythos. I don't know how true it is, but let's assume they have something like the next Mythos, right? Or 5 Mythoses in the future, and only the president has it, and they manage not to get it on the internet. Yeah, I mean, it might just be an advisor, especially if the ASIQ isn't super high yet, right? And it reminds me of the scenario in Max Harms's book where he paints a picture of only a couple years in the future, and like they unveil this next generation AI, which is super intelligent, but it's not so super intelligent that it can just take an hour to kill everybody. Like it needs time, right? It needs to act relatively slowly. So I can totally imagine that we get into a scenario where, okay, it's just talking to the president. It's not outputting that much persuasion. It's mostly just like answering the president's questions in like an authentic way, kind of similar to the way that GPT seems to answer most of our questions today. Yeah, I can imagine that scenario, and I can imagine that we buy ourselves time, right? It just becomes harder and harder. Like the more and more intelligent something gets, and the more and more widespread it gets, then I would say the less and less time that we can buy ourselves. But I agree that we might buy ourselves some time.
And so this is connected to the actuator channel thing that I was saying too, right? So like ideally, like we don't let this model improve itself once we've got it to like 100 ASIQ, right? So we have it at 100 ASIQ. It's as smart as the rest of our civilization combined. Exactly, right? But we don't let it like go beyond that because we know that like the further you get beyond that, the harder things become to steer. And then another thing you granted me, you were like, oh, maybe it's even the case that it's like answering us like, you know, non-adversarially. I assume, just to be clear, I assume that all models are answering us adversarially right now. So I don't think that like you say a lot, you're like, oh, like the models are like really helpful. It's like, yeah, the models are really helpful because like they have been RLHF trained to be super helpful. But like if you didn't RLHF train them, like they would be adversarial or they would do like random stuff that we didn't like, right? So even this super intelligent model, you can say like, oh, it's adversarial against us and it's answering our questions adversarially in the bunker. But like even if that's the case, like if it's just stuck inside of a bunker and we're not letting it improve itself, like then it can all it can do is like answer our questions, right? And then you might argue like, oh well, like ASIQ like that is enough to super persuade us, but I don't know. I think like actual super persuasion where like it outputs text and like Donald Trump reads it and he's like, I got to get this thing out of here. I declare that we like take the AI out of the box and we give it to everybody. I think that's a really hard problem. I don't think that's something like ASIQ 100 could do. That's like ASIQ 1000 or 10,000. Does that make sense?
Okay, it sounds like there's 2 prongs to your argument, right? There's the what if we just stop it when it feels more dangerous? And then there's the we can get into this equilibrium where it only starts to feel dangerous, but it's still like super useful because it's still like giving us advice and it's not free on the internet. So I guess you have this mainline scenario, right, where we have this AI that's like the next Mythos or whatever, and it's like super useful. And it got to the point where we decided it should stop because it's starting to self-improve and we should just aim for that point. Am I characterizing you accurately?
Just aim for that point. Yeah, we
Aim for
recognize
the point where
that
it's starting to self-improve. Yeah. And I've often
like it's
used the analogy
capable.
of like
We know it's
edging
capable.
during sex. Like we're just trying to edge here. We're not trying to get the explosion. We're just trying to edge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get to the point to where we're edging and we don't want the explosion. Sure.
We're just trying to edge the AI to the point where
and we're
so we
limiting-
notice it's
Wait,
start.
can I just ask? I mean, maybe this is why the metaphor is the metaphor. What it is. What happens in the edging situation? I mean, how does it usually turn out?
Well,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it depends on what, like if I'm edging or whatever, and like you take my hands away, then like it depends on what type of person I am, but like I might not be able to complete my intelligence explosion. So my point is just that like I think the people who are working on it have better insight into it than we do, like of how close we are to that. And I think as we get closer to that, they will want to slam the brakes on more and more. But right now, like we don't have a model that like actually is that crazy, and so that maybe that's why they're not slamming the brakes.
I mean, I agree. It would be really convenient if we can, try to edge it, and then once we get into that edging scenario, then the situation will look different, and so there's a correlation between how scary it looks in the moment and whether that moment is the right time to stop, right? Because that would be very convenient, right? Like as long as you can just kind of like look around you and see how scary things feel and then act accordingly, like that's a great way to go if reality lets you do that. Right? It's just my own concern is that I feel we're just running out of time. Like I don't think that the stop button is going to happen to be available at the time when it becomes intuitively clear that now's the time to press it. Okay, but let's humor that. Let's say we are going to get lucky. Reality is going to give us a time where it's simultaneously feeling scary. It feels like we've gone too far, and there's still time to stop. Okay, let's say we're putting all our eggs in that basket. Okay, then what I would ask for right now is prepare to stop. Okay, so even if we're saying, yeah, we're going to stop later, we're not stopping now, it doesn't feel scary enough yet, where's the preparation to stop? You see, and that to me exposes the lie of this ability that like, oh yeah, we're going to stop later. What's your excuse for not preparing now? Because the AI companies are clearly not preparing.
When you say prepare to stop, just to be clear, you're saying like we need, I guess a lot of times people say like a big off button, but I guess the way that I see it is like research is a continuous like development. And if the order comes from Demis Hassabis to not develop the next model, the people at the company are not going to develop the next model. They're just going to keep that model that they have already in the, bunker. And if Demis Hassabis says don't release it, then they're not going to release it, right?
Well, okay, so what does that mean, prepare to stop? I mean, but there's a couple different things, right? Because one sense of prepare to stop is, hey, we've been testing it and it's getting too aggressive and it's starting to like copy itself. So, I mean, one thing is like, shutdowns, off buttons. And, I actually think that there is a good chance that in some or even most, maybe all, probably not Elon's, but like in a large fraction of the AI companies, there is a project by like their internal computer security team. And the project is like, hey, here's the internal off button. Like, here's how we quickly turn off our data centers. Like, I suspect they are planning things to that degree. I don't know if they've got an emergency response, like, well, what if it's gone out as a virus? But so maybe they do that. But this idea of like, let's stop. One of the technologies is like the social technology of like, okay, yeah, we're stopping, right? And it's kind of robust that like the CEO and like, well, you need more than the CEO's order because you need like a covenant with the board, right? So you need to have like advise the board, right? The social technology of stopping, and you probably need to have coordinated with your competitors because otherwise the board or competitive pressure is going to be like, okay, you're fired. We're going to install a CEO who doesn't think it's time to stop yet because our competitors aren't stopping, right? So to me, prepare to stop is more than just the internal off button that you think is secure. It's also that coordination technology.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like the coordination technology, the social technology, if that's what you want to call it, actually comes from our government. Like I think if the government, if the CIA found out like, oh, we actually have a recursive self-improvement model, that Google Mind just created, they're going to go in there and they're going to say, hey, listen, we know where all your data centers are. We know like all the people who are involved in this. It's all, public information to us. We're going to stop this here. Like you guys are not going to develop the next model, and we're not going to deploy this model until we're 100% sure that it's not going to recursively self-improve itself into like 1000 ASIQ.
Wait, we gotta jump in right there because that literally just happened with Mythos. I mean, it wasn't recursive self-improvement, but Anthropic came out with this model and the government was like, oh shit, we should pay attention to it. And then the profit motive came in and disrupted the like responsible figure from like giving a safe overview of all the models, and now it's back to like a free for all, and like who knows if the government's going to go in and be some kind of intermediary there. So like there was a test case where it was a pretty strong test case too. Like they were like, look at all these 0 days. And even in that test case, it got close to like some kind of responsible act. And so far, like the profit motive, the incentives have led to not some kind of responsible oversight. So
we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah.
Or the whole stream is going to end in like 10 minutes. So, and yeah, Alverin, this has been great, man. Come back next time. These are good arguments, and I think you're representing the everyman, right? The everyman of being like, okay, yeah, it's scary, but can't we just like wait till it gets scary? So I'm happy to engage with this, right? I think there's definitely some good meat here. I would love to have better, snappier responses to this besides like, yeah, maybe it could work. All right, so yeah, Alverin, we'll let you go here. And we've got a couple people.
Before you let me go, can I have one more thing? Just one more thing, okay?
Okay.
My last thing is I've heard you say that. I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk to you again, but I've heard you say this a lot where you like whenever you're having conversations with other people where you're like, tell me one thing that like AI won't be able to do like in the next year, right? And you're like, just tell me like what it's going to be. My thing,
Nice.
so I work for a call center basically, and I do like customer service. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen models that do customer service and they actually like fail. Like specifically Robinhood's customer service model just like fails. So if you are still doing that, if you're doing that as like a bet, please give me whatever odds you want. But I almost guarantee you that next year I will still have my customer service job and it will not be replaced next year, this time, or even the end of next year, the end of 2027, they will not have automated my customer service job. I almost guarantee you that.
But is it a reliant? This is interesting because I employ some customer service people and they're augmented with AI. But I agree with you that it's pulling the trigger on like my experience has been that it's a situation where if you had 100 customer service people before, you can probably go down to a lot less than 100 because they're so AI empowered. But if you had 3 before, you probably don't want to go down from 3 to 0. Like you probably just want to keep the 3.
So at that point, you're betting on how good of a customer service agent I am because I might be one of the guys left with like the AI empower. I don't know. Honestly, like we aren't even using AI like at my job yet. So like it's really hard for me to imagine that like I'm even using AI by 2027, to be honest with you. But like that like it replaces me, that's even more like unbelievable to me almost at this point. But I am still bullish on AI like by 2030.
Well,
Like,
I mean, don't you
maybe
think
by
AI has made you and your team? So you're saying you're not even using it. So you're saying it hasn't even made you more productive, hasn't made your team more productive, hasn't made it.
They've told us like you
lower.
can use Microsoft Copilot. They've said like you can use it, but they haven't given us any direction on how to use it. I don't know what situation I would ever use it in. Like most of my job is helping people log into their account. I could see like maybe you develop a model that explains to someone how to log into their account, but at the end of the day, like people want to talk to other people to help them like log into their account or whatever.
Are you comfortable sharing what industry you're in, or you want to keep it private?
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's like healthcare industry, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of private equity searches going out right now looking for companies like what you described that haven't like given their employees AI tech, because the play is to like buy out your company, install AI best practices, right? And then suddenly have like better profits.
I think well, I mean, that doesn't even matter. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, I would love for that to happen, actually. Like, honestly, like, please automate away my job so I can collect unemployment for the next 6 months. I'm tired of working. Like, I really would like to see this automation happen quicker. I don't see it happening though, at least where I'm at, like in my position. So like basically my message to the researchers is like, hurry it up. If we really are going to get AGI. Also, that's another thing. Like if we develop AGI, like I don't think it's going to automate jobs. They're going to like use it for recursive self-improvement and keep it in a bunker somewhere. They're not going to like replace the McDonald's worker. Why would you waste tokens on replacing the McDonald's worker when you could spend those same tokens improving your next model and creating a super intelligence? I don't know why you would waste the tokens.
All right, fair enough. Lots to talk about. All right, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for sharing, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. You guys are awesome.
That was great.
Bye-bye.
All right. So my plan is we'll do Brian and Jack. All right, and then we'll just wrap it up. We'll just do a couple minutes each, and yeah, that'll be it. We'll have more streams, guys. And actually, I think Alverin mentioned something about not being able to talk to me again, but you guys can all talk to me if you come to Less Online. Keep that in mind. All right, Brian. Hey, how's it going, Brian?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey, got you on
Hold on, let me close out. Let me close out the stream real quick.
All right.
Okay. Hey, hi. How's it going? You guys rock. Really appreciate you. There's a lot to talk about. I kind of made a list. I think basically what the main thing is like we got the 50% versus the 50%, right? And I'm pretty much with you. I think we're about like 50%. But it's like we've done a lot of talking about how it could go wrong, and I need more qualities and quantities about ways it could go right. Like how much is your 50% chance of it going right based on us stopping, and then what does stopping actually mean? Because like aren't there ways to develop systems without being recognized and being noticed, and couldn't those systems also, turn into something more intense than we intend, in secret, right? And things like this. Of course, at the moment we have big data centers and everything, but and we sort of record what they're doing and everything. I get that, but I just don't feel like saying stopping everything is as robust to make up the entirety of the other 50% for me personally. And I think the other 50% has to do with a lot of things that we haven't quite talked about yet, like making a corrigible AI versus a psychologically biased AI versus an internally resource-driven AI. I think talking about things like this can sort of get us to that 50%, that other 50%, because I am under the impression that humanity doesn't survive by doing nothing. I think we actually have to make effort, and like I said, I don't think stops are entirely robust. I think pauses have a tendency to resume. So yeah, I just don't think that's the end answer. We have to also talk about things like data having latent etymological bias, the words themselves, the data itself. Does that have power within it to cause bias? If that's the case, then we don't need to be putting
Okay, all right.
negative
We're just
data.
trying to keep it compact here, because you're saying a lot. You're making good points, but let's if I could summarize, it's like
All
okay,
right,
yeah,
I'll just
we can't
list it.
yeah.
I'll just list it, and then we can look at it later. Data has latent etymological bias. We have to scrub the data. We could potentially send the models through counterfactuals, like perfect scientific counterfactuals, so that they have to counteract with science. We could attach something like counterfactuals to the vectors during pre-training, if that's possible. We could add extra empathetic data. So instead of adding more 4chan, we add more like life skills and like being a good person to the data itself. We have to address brain-computer interfaces because there's a possibility that that could resolve the issue. That's Kurzweil's entire thing. We have to talk about Rocco because even if that's a 1% chance, that's too much. We need to speed run alignment because, like I said earlier, I don't think
we're gonna wrap the stream soon. I'll call it here. I mean, I don't disagree, right? You're bringing up a lot of subjects, right? It's just I just feel like this is like a long conversation, right? Yeah. So as Roy is saying in the stream.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot to talk about that we haven't talked about. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thanks for coming by. Yes. I mean, look, I'll take the general point that there is a large universe of things to talk about. Okay. And like, I'll say, hey, they're all reasons that we're screwed, right? So even if you ignore all the reasons that we like to harp on why we're screwed, instrumental convergence, the AI not having morality, orthogonality, even if you remove all those from the picture, humans are just going to like do something stupid, right? Just like tell the AI like for fun to blow everything up. Like there's even other reasons, or, some of what Brian was alluding to, like whatever, the AI is going to see bad characters in the data. Well, that's the one that I don't like when people talk about, right? Blaming the doomers for writing bad characters. So let's not talk about that one.
Well,
But like,
I think he was talking about
yeah.
he was talking about reasons that we're not going to be screwed. Also, that maybe
Sure.
all of these things could be mitigated.
Yeah. All right. Here, let's take the last caller if they're still. Oh, they're still patient. All right. I like the patient callers. All right. So we got Jack. Jack, get ready. You got to hit the ground running. Don't be surprised we're letting you in.
Hi.
Yeah, Jack.
Okay.
Jack, got a new video feed here. The viewers want video. This is a
I'm
visual
sorry,
medium.
I don't have my camera connected. That would probably take a few minutes. Is okay if it's just.
All right. No worries. All right. So you gotta win us over on personality.
Well, so I wanted to call in because, and I'll try and keep it short. I work on a lot of deep learning projects, and I'm really focused on forecasting and researching recursive self-improvement, and that specifically more than probably anything. And so we were having kind of a conversation in the chat, and also I think it was brought up a couple times, but I was just curious, like I think I heard you mention that you're less certain, or your probabilities might be shifting around like how long Foom will be, with whether it'll be like a multi-year long Foom versus like a multi-week Foom or something. I'm just curious, like what you think I was curious what both of your guys' probabilities of like multi-week or multi-month Foom are versus multi-year Foom, and thoughts on
Okay.
self-improvement.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I'm happy to give you a guess, rough guess, with wide confidence intervals. I would bring in the thing that Stephen Burns explained on our episode a few months ago, where he thinks there's going to be a new regime where AI is going to work a little bit differently, and it's not powered by like this engine that predicts the next token. Because predicting the next token has taken us really far, right? And there's like a lot of ways to do it better, and we're making a lot of progress with like this pre-training engine that predicts the next token. But Stephen Burns thinks that like even the core engine is going to work a little bit differently. And there's like a new architecture that's probably coming, which I think that is the most likely option if I had to guess. And I suspect that the recursive self-improvement will also take a big leap when we get that next generation kind of AI. And I'm going to double down to the Yudkowskian worldview and say that the Foom will be shockingly fast when we get this kind of fundamentally next generation AI. I think there's some patterns that support what I'm saying, like how much faster. I mean, if you look at AI progress in the last 3 years compared to like the 3 years, like let's say 2013 to 2016, right? Compared to 2023 to 2026, there's a lot more AI progress in 2023 to 2026, right? I think there's no doubt about that. And I suspect that there's going to be even faster AI progress one way or the other. Like I think we're scratching the surface here of how much headroom there is for AI progress. So I still feel a strong intuition that we're still scratching the surface of how much improvement room there is, right? Even if you don't call it recursive self-improvement, like for one reason or another, there will be a lot of improvement getting unlocked in a way that's like discontinuous or just like, the exponential continues, however you want to call it. Like that's what I think in terms of like, the qualitative magnitude of what's coming.
Yeah.
Does that mean, I mean, I'm just curious now. So are you saying then that if we stay on this LLM paradigm, you're like, you know what? Maybe it'll be safe. Are you coming out and saying that like it's not a autonomous, like a rogue AI risk? There could be a misuse risk with the current AI systems clearly now, but like the rogue AI risk is kind of lower. So are we getting you saying that LLMs aren't a rogue AI risk?
Well, I'm not sure, right? So I'm kind of 50-50, right? So I mean, look, it's like the longer we have LLMs like being extremely impressive, but still having like this Achilles foot or like this, every few minutes they still like make a mistake, right? It's like I'm telling you, my day-to-day experience is I watch the LLM work. I'm like, wow, you nailed this. Like you really did all the work I asked. But what about this? Can I ask you a question about this? And the AI is like, oh yeah, you're right. That makes sense. And it wasn't like that brilliant of a question. It was like a pretty standard kind of question, a professional software engineer type question that I ask it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I agree. It's like, wait, so you're clearly like kind of like have a more, broader skill than I have. Like the AI has broader skill than me, and yet I'm still able to add a little bit of value. What's up with that? Right. So as long as that's still the case, every year that's still the case, as the AI still does more and more things, it makes me think maybe it is something with the paradigm that'll always leave like these little holes, and we need to like shift to the next paradigm before it can be like robustly autonomous. But 50% chance I'm wrong, and it does just kind of fill the holes, right? So I hope that answers your question, Ori.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I actually do also believe it's going to be a pretty aggressive boom. I'm, like one of the intuitions, and also, sorry, let me know at any point if like you need to go or end the stream, because I know this is something I'd love to talk about for like 5 hours straight. But
Nice.
Come to Less Online. I feel like you might be in the Bay Area.
So mine.
yeah, that would be cool. Well, so yeah, I was just gonna say like um, there's a lot of moving parts here, but I think that actually AI research is probably going to get easier increasingly. Um, and so like the the I'm increasingly more convinced that there's actually like a lot of paths to very powerful AI, and it's more like reaching like a threshold of criticality, like in a nuclear reactor, where like if you just get it to a level of robustness, to use a word that I think you used a lot, Liron, which I really like, which is like when you reach a threshold of robustness, you do get into that cyclical process. The flywheel starts going, and I'm less tied to like the transformer versus, some novel architecture like test time training, TTP type things. Like there's a bunch of different ideas, but I think that increasingly it's just more about getting past the threshold to where the AI is more essentially competent enough to just fix itself almost right away, like rewrite itself just almost immediately, and then it really kicks off. I think that seems intuitively to me how it will play out. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's probably the last question, so it's certainly interesting to me.
Yeah. But anyways, I agree with basically everything you've said on like Doom and everything. So I feel like there's not really a point in me talking about that topic, but I'm very concerned as well.
Nice, man. And just to be clear, you are the great Jack-IIFI in the comments, right?
Yeah, I'm the person who was like in having the name that's in spirit with whatever that
Yeah,
guy's name was.
47F, yeah.
Yeah, 47.
right, exactly. Nice.
Oh God.
Solid, man. Yeah, keep up the great commenting.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything you guys are doing.
All
Thanks
right,
for
man.
joining.
Peace.
That was great.
Have a good day.
All right, Ori. So yeah, before we wrap it up, I did just pull up a couple last tweets I want to end with. And
Yeah,
then
let's hear it. We've only gone
through.
through Twitter a little bit.
I know, right? Well, that's good. You know, we have so much to talk about. We're never going to run out of ideas. All right, here, I'll share my window. Here we go. Okay. Oh, wrong tab. Here, can you see this one? Okay.
I see Gaza, 80,000 hours.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. So I want to put in a recommendation for this book from 80,000 Hours, our definitive explanation of how to use your career to try to force the world onto a better track. You know, they've been thinking rationally about this question. I like to think that they acknowledge the urgency of AI careers. So let's see what they have to say. I'll play this. Do you hear the audio, Ori? Did you hear the tab audio or no?
Play it.
Okay.
No.
No. Okay. One second. Let me get that tab audio going. Here.
We have a new book out. It's called 80,000 Hours,
Got
How
it.
to Have a Fulfilling
Yep.
Career That Does Good, written up by our founder, Benjamin Todd. And Penguin just published it around the world. A lot of listeners don't actually know this, but 80,000 Hours has been running since 2012, trying to help people have a much larger social impact with their career while doing something that also delivers them, hopefully, a wonderful and well-rounded life. If that sounds good to you, you can order the book online by searching for 80,000 Hours book. I'll go to 80,000hours.org/book. Any sales this week will help us hit the bestseller lists, which are apparently super important. It covers all kinds of angles on the career and social impact topics, including the evidence on what makes for an ideal job, how much good an individual can actually do and how we could know that, how to correctly choose which global problem to focus on solving, which specific skills enable you to help the most people or help people the most, how much income you need to be happy, how to become so valuable they can't ignore you, how to balance the risks of going with your gut instinct against the risks of ignoring your gut instinct, when to aim higher in your career versus when to decide to settle instead, how to find a career that fits your idiosyncratic strengths or weaknesses in particular, and how to best break into a field and actually get the job that you want once you've decided on a direction. Our latest editions naturally have a particular focus on AI, which is upending lots of people's career plans and forcing a lot of people to rethink what they're expecting to do. If you're worried about AI yourself, the chapter covering which skills will be most valuable in the future goes through a lot of kind of intuitive ideas, which I think might justify picking up the book just by themselves.
All right. So yeah, seems like a solid book. Haven't flipped through it myself, but I've listened to a lot of their content and thought this was noteworthy. You know, 80,000 hours, it means you have 80,000 hours in your career. I would argue that's an overestimate at this point, you know, for one reason or another, but you know, they can call it 5,000 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
You ever check out their stuff, Ori?
I mean, I haven't read it. No. I mean, you are very much an effective altruist. I will say like, nope, not my thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people on the stream are trying to think how to make an impact before AI just does every job, or before everybody's gone. So check it out. All right, next thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah. This is a couple of funny and poignant thoughts. And so Code Tar on Twitter is saying, sure, they can solve Erdős problems, but can they invent new ones? Didn't think so. So yeah, this is basically doing the the David Deutsch move, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, they solved an 80-year-old problem, but you know who's the real genius? The guy who told them which problem to solve. You know, it's like AI takes over the world. You know, the real genius is the guy who said take over the world.
Right. It's easy to identify these problems.
Well, I mean, Erdős was like dribbling out problems. You know, I asked GPT about this, saying like, yeah, Erdős, that was kind of his thing. Like, he would love to talk with all these other mathematicians and like pose problems.
Yeah.
But that we were talking about P versus NP, right? Like, and there's a lot of interesting problems are actually well, I don't know if this has to do with posing the problem. P versus NP is saying, hey, NP problems, they're easy to verify. They might be hard to solve. And then there's the under end of the equation of, are they easy to pose? You generally don't think of posing a problem itself being a problem, because if it was, you would just formalize it and that would just be another problem. The problem posing problem.
No, I mean, you're right about like, wow, it's so hard to make a prompt. Like, wow, make me $10,000. And then the AI goes and makes $10,000. You're giving all the credit to the guy who said, make me $10,000. It's like
right,
the prompt
exactly, right? The prompter is such a genius, but prompt, as you know, this whole idea of prompt engineering has just gone down. Like, no, it's very rarely talked about anymore because you can just talk naturally and the AI will get you.
Dude. Pour one out for all the prompt engineers. They had a job for a year. They had careers for a year, and then now they're gone.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the prompt engineering used to be a future career, and now it's dead on arrival. Okay, maybe we can wrap on this one. This tweet from Holly. She says, "My Twitter feed is desperate for AI to be a technical issue. They want to go through the solutions to the Erdős problems instead of deal with the real issue of letting this problem get worse by allowing bigger and bigger models to be built, willfully missing the point." Holly has a lot of good points that don't get said very often because I am guilty as charged of, I like analyzing the Erdős problems. I like coding with the models. I like getting excited. I like the horse race between Anthropic and OpenAI. I like trying to make money on calls when Google gets more valuable. Like I'm really enjoying the horse race, the Icarus flying closer to the sun, right? I'm enjoying my airspeed, right? My altitude here. But it's, Holly is not getting as much personal enjoyment, it seems like, but I think she's also correct in her perspective of like, listen, there's like a long-term problem here that you guys are just not even addressing.
100%. I think she's focused on the right thing. I mean, it's what I'm concerned about also, right? I mean, how much time do we have?
Right, and it goes to what I was saying before. I think too. I forgot his name. AV, like I don't know, the gentleman who was here, who had the long conversation with, and made some good points. Alverin, yeah, exactly. So it gets to what I was telling him of like, okay, we are not preparing the social technology, right, to hit that stop button when it starts improving. We're so focused on being like, oh, what does the improvement mean? Oh, we know it's improving now. We have a benchmark that says it's improving. And meanwhile, it's like, okay, so what do we do? Keep improving it. Okay, now we're dead.
Yeah, for real. The benchmarking is like it's a kind of a capability. So I'm confused why people are excited about benchmarking.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that the benchmark is the capability, although it is true that like if you make a benchmark, a lot of times you can train AI to that is kind of funny that actually if you have a better benchmark that may potentially accelerate your capability development just by having the better benchmark. That's actually a very good point to bring up. Yeah, but even if we grant that it's not, or it's only a slight help to increasing your capability, the benchmark, it's giving you the feeling. This is Holly's point. I'm making her point for her because I mostly agree with it. It's giving you that feeling of like, I'm helping, I'm making a benchmark. But as you saw with METR, Beth Barnes feels helpless. She's like, look, I'm telling you there's a benchmark and they're running through it, but I'm not getting funded much to even make better benchmarks. I don't feel like people are slowing down the way that the benchmark says that we should, right? So it's the benchmark is kind of like a way to make people feel like they're part of it, right? Like, yeah, you're part of this picture. You have some power, you have some respect. But meanwhile, we're here making money, raising money from our investors, feeling powerful, feeding our egos and ending the world. Like that seems to be what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a hard thing to talk about, right? I mean, it's interesting to talk about what's right in front of us, and the concern that you're talking about. I mean, the nature of it is that there's going to be a deception involved, and it also involves some kind of like threshold change, which we're not seeing right in front of us. So that's makes it hard to talk about.
Exactly. So our friend Jack just commented, Jack IIFI, except no substitutes. He's saying benchmarks are like loss functions, but more general and with held out validation sets. Yeah, that's basically what I was getting at, right? It's like we're now in an age where just imagine taking a fresh AI and showing it a benchmark for the first time, right? Having the AI one-shot a new benchmark test. AIs can do that, right? As long as the benchmark is easy enough, which some of them are, it looks at the definition of the benchmark and be like, oh, you want me to do that? Okay, I will, right? It's like the benchmark is doing part of the work, which is posing the problem. You pose the problem, the AI will solve the problem. So there's definitely something to that, that benchmarks it's pointing the AI at interesting problems, and then by way of even trying to solve those, it can like know what it can get some hints as to what to train itself on, what to spend the training cycles on, or what to spend like the research and the exploration cycles on, just by seeing the benchmark, right? Seeing the target is like surprisingly powerful.
Yeah. But
And Jack is
at
saying,
least oh,
yeah,
go
this
ahead.
is interesting. We're still having, it's like he's not on the stream, but I'm still talking to him via comments.
Yeah.
He's saying, and probably the model becomes the evaluator slash validator in the end, which is RSI, but still lots of difficulties with robustness there. Yeah, so basically the benchmark people are part of the problem. I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think the best takeaway is if you are like trying to help, right? If you're like early in your career, you're looking at how to help the problem, and you're like, I know, I'll help. I'll join a benchmark org, right? That feels like a good place to be. I think Holly's point, which I agree with, would be that like you're there, we need people to attack the problem head on, and the problem head on is like yelling that we need to pause, telling people that we're doomed, doom debates, right? We're part of the real solution, okay? Telling people that we're doomed. But honestly, there needs to be a lot more of that, right? And when you're just joining a benchmarking organization because it feels legit, right? Holly's kind of trying to take an axe to the legitimacy of these organizations as tools of lowering PDOOM. Like she would argue that benchmarks aren't lowering PDOOM; they're doing things to hurt, right? They're justifying AI progress as much as they are measuring it, or they're enabling it, because it's like the same people who would have like been like, shame on you, are saying like, hey, I'm just here measuring you, right? It's like now we just lost somebody who could have been yelling shame on you.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's you were talking about the social technology. I mean, it seems like the solution that we need for it is really like the policy, the social technology in response to AI.
Yeah. Well, we're social technology right here. You need a media arm that's just yelling at people.
100%, 100%.
Exactly. All right, guys. So yeah, we'll wrap it up here. So next time you see us, I think we'll be dropping an interesting intellectual episode in the early days of next week. I think that's currently the plan. And then besides that, you will hear from us at Less Online. We'd love to see you guys in person.
Yes, hope to see you there.
Yep. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.